Okay, welcome back. Final day then of what a week it has been. A seismic Sunday, says the front page of the Racing Post. Hard to disagree with that, isn't it? Wow, we've got the Curragh, of course, Iris St Ledger Day over there. 4 Group 1s. We'll also have a little bit of Chelmsford for you. And don't worry, we'll be giving a nod to some rather important French trials as well. Myself, Dave Orton, back in the chair, whether you're watching on Facebook Live or YouTube. Good to have you along again. We've had some great feedback this week. Something tells me the best is yet to come, though. And delighted to say back on the panel, Bruce Millington for the first time this week.
Hey up, Dave.
Hey up. Well, do you know what? I've been surrounded by Yorkshiremen. Ross Briley was back in the chair yesterday. We've done a couple of feature shows. Everyone says that the Post has a north-south divide. Did you ever feel that? Did you ever get that from connections? Nothing.
Far too many northerners. I think we had 3. No.
Yeah. So if you're watching up in Kendal, good to have you along, basically. You've been on a little break. You feel recharged?
I do, yeah.
Got the inflatable tent out again?
Yeah.
That's a purchase, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really good, yeah.
Loads of people are doing that.
Yeah, it's the new thing in tent technology. You don't have poles and canes and everything. Yeah. You just inflate these things and it's
How long does it take?
No time. You throw it up. Honestly, it's fantastic.
That's exactly what I need.
Really good.
One man that could put up a tent with no problem whatsoever, without a hitch, is Betfair's Neil Hubbard. A delight to have you back in the studio again yesterday, Neil, back for final day.
Yeah.
Sunday yesterday, wasn't it? Just a reflection on Tom Marquand. What a story that was.
Yeah, that was really good. Not a bad spare ride to pick up to land your first classic. Really good performance from the horse. Bright future. Relatively lightly raced, isn't he? Just a really good day yesterday. Today promises to be more of the same. There's some cracking racing over in Ireland. It's going to shake up some of the anti-post markets for next year. So, looking forward to it.
All over it. We've got
and
some
the day's already
kicked
kicked off with Mr. Lupton winning.
Unbelievable. You can just see it in the corner of our eye. So one race over at the Curragh will be picking up with the 2:35. They'll be going to Chelmsford first at 2:20. Has he finally won?
Yeah, unbelievable. What a horse he's been, hasn't he?
Keely was on.
I reckon he probably would have been, yeah. He's one of the loyal punters.
There's been a nice system this year, isn't there, of jumping off, horses that Keels does and then jumping on when he's got that bandwagon. Dark Vision, of course, won a Group 3, didn't he, on Friday in Germany as well. British horses all over the place today. We'll be covering them all for you. What did you make that narrative yesterday, Tom Marquand?
Fantastic.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I thought yesterday was brilliant. I mean, I thought the Ledger was fantastic. I thought the Wichita race was brilliant. But Magical versus Gay, I thought absolutely brilliant.
What about the comment from Shamie Heffen in the paper? He said, champions can disappoint you. They don't, champions. It was an interesting line, that. Champions, I wonder what they thought was going to be champions. And he then led on to the line with her saying, Magical has never shown her best. Probably never shown what she's really capable of. And yet she's won 7 Group 1s. Remarkable.
Would that be why Ryan didn't ride her? I mean, that really was bizarre, wasn't it?
It was a strange one.
Another story there, yeah. Japan was he's got this obsession with riding Japan, hasn't he?
I just wonder whether there's a kind of political thing because they obviously sold the horse, a share in Japan for a lot of money, and whether they kind of feel like they're trying to big him up to the owner.
I think there's an element. I mean, it's very hard to try and articulate what it is, but they've invested a lot into Japan in terms of him as a horse. He cost us a pretty penny, and they've always spoken like he's a good horse, and it almost feels like we can't give up on him. So we need the main... Because I don't know, does Ryan Moore actually choose to ride him? Does he get told to ride him? I don't know.
I mean, they always say that it's a bit of both, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, we never quite know where we stand with that one,
It just seems a bit of a horse that... I wouldn't say he's making a fool of Aidan O'Brien, because that sounds too much, but he's obviously doing something at home, potentially, that has them believing and thinking he's the next big thing. And yes, he's won a Juddmonte, but it just hasn't necessarily translated it consistently to the track, at least.
Can we see the O'Briens dominating again today? I say the O'Briens, plural.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
Joseph's got a serious can today, isn't it, at the car?
It really does, yeah. And Donica as well. I mean, it's an incredible day, isn't it? And they're just I was driving up just thinking about that family and just how astonishing that whole dynasty is now, isn't it? And Aidan, I mean, he's younger than me, I think. I mean, if he carries on for another 20 years, just think what his numbers are going to be like when he finishes. Just absolutely
Easterbrook seems like another lifetime ago, doesn't
it?
Yeah, absolutely remarkable. OK, so look, let us know what you thought of the weekend. How's your week going? Are you winning? Do you need some help? We're going to give it to you here on the show. Get your social comments. We had loads coming in yesterday. That was absolutely fantastic. Love to interact with you out there. Real-time analysis, no better place, whatever you're doing. I'll tell you what, shorts and T-shirt weather out there. It's unbelievable.
It's really nice, isn't it? Yeah. But there's still a little bit of cut in the ground, I think, in Ireland.
Tiny bit, yeah. Although, let's get the time of the first if we can. In fact, Rob has, he's actually said my seat has declined. I've got the Keely.
That might have disappeared, actually, by now, I would have thought.
Yeah?
But,
dried out a little bit.
I've got my first thing to get off my chest, though. We were just watching our TV as we came in, and Ruby Walsh and Gary O'Brien are broadcasting to camera in masks. For God's sake, we know we've got to do sensible things to stop the spread of the virus, but two people standing miles apart, broadcasting to people with masks on is not going to make any difference at all. It just looks bloody stupid.
They're doing it down under as well, aren't they? Do it in France. It is very, very odd.
Do things that are actually going to help, not stuff that, we seem to be doing the right thing. Just does my head in.
He's off already. He's off already before the first race. I'll tell you what, he was actually wearing shades as well, O'Brien was. Like when he came on, we were like, is that him? It's
all it needed was cheek invisible pieces. I know, it could be anyone, couldn't it?
Pair of blinkers on. Absolutely, yeah. It does seem a little bit ridiculous, doesn't it? Because, of course, no owners still allowed back on.
It's a real shame, isn't it? I mean, that was the one thing about Doncaster this week. People were allowed in on Wednesday and then they pulled the plug on it.
I spoke to Jonathan Kay, the Greyhound correspondent, yesterday, I think it was, or Friday, when he was in. He said, I was one of the people on the town more on Wednesday. He said, it was so bizarre. That, 6,000 were due in the next couple of days, weren't they? And we won't get too much into the policies, all about the sport today, but these pilots need to go well, don't they?
Well, I mean, Goodwood got done. They're just unlucky, basically. They're happening at a time when there's a little uptick in the numbers, isn't there? I mean, Goodwood and Doncaster, and they both tracks have put so much effort into making that happen, and money, obviously. So fingers crossed it'll be third time lucky.
Yeah, OK. All right, let's go to our first race then. Chelmsford, welcoming for the first time Chelmsford. Not the first time we've done all weather, is it? We did the Tapeta at Newcastle, Palace Pier.
That's right.
And the Solario that was there.
I don't think we've got any Palace Piers at Chelmsford.
Unlikely.
You never know, do you?
Unlikely.
Three good races.
Yeah. How do you approach all-weather punting? Just treat it like a turf track?
Well, the only thing I would say about Chelmsford, the one kind of caveat or one consideration that I would put in, I like my horses up the front at Chelmsford. I don't know why, but I mean, you analyse much. You look at these things through a much more forensic eye than I do. But it just feels like a track where once you turn in, you don't want to be too far off the pace.
I have reached for a little outside help today. Dave Bellingham, our old colleague, King of the Sand they call him. Check out his website, Sand for me. It's absolutely different class. I just said to him today, any biases at the moment out? He goes, Kempton, you've got to be on the rail, that inside rail. But at Chelmsford, exactly what you just said, you cannot be too far back and you don't want to be on that far rail either.
Did he give you any horses?
He has given me a couple of horses. He put up a 3-pointer and a 3.35 at Wolverhampton, if you're watching out there. Denzel's laughing. I think Keith Dalglish trains it, but today he does fancy a couple. He fancies Dr. Dream, is it? What's the sprinter? Desert Doctor. There you go. Yeah, there's a big case to be made for that in R255. Really fancies that.
Dave Bellingham is a judge, and he must
proper judge. Yeah, he must be missing going to all weather tracks, so let's hope they can get back as well. Okay, so let's get the market up on screen. Let's see who's favourite for our first. I quite like one in this actually. Neil, who's going to go off, Fav?
Laser Show will be favourite.
I would think. You say that.
Yeah, I know. Just when I said
but
that,
what is all this Vale of Kent money?
I know, he just started to drift a bit in the face of Vale of Kent support. But Laser Show is currently the favourite, 2.94. Vale of Kent 3.35, Abelais 6.8, Oh This Is Us 8.4, and Fiji 9.8. So not a pretty tightly packed market, I suppose, in a way, which is what you might expect for 5 runners.
Is there a play in this? A Neil Hubbard play?
I do. I quite like the outsider. I quite like Fiji in this.
Yes, interesting, because this is an interesting angle with all-weather punting, isn't it? And again, Mr. Bellingham, this is one that these all-weather gurus, they do bang on about this. Forget a horse's turf form. You see it at Southwell, don't you? All these horses that have been getting themselves handicapped on turf just to return for the winter months. And punters get bamboozled by all the duck eggs and the 8s and things like that. And you have to go searching for the fibre sand form in there. She's quite clearly better on the synthetics, isn't she?
Yeah, raced 4 times so far, 2 on turf, 2 on the all-weather. 2 runs at Goodwood on the turf, just fine, but nothing to write home about as such.
He wasn't too far behind in the cocked hat, was he?
No,
it was only 4 runs. I mean, it was a respectable-ish performance and certainly a level above this, wasn't it?
And interestingly, he won at Lingfield on debut that didn't force, but meant that Qatar Racing then stepped in to buy him. And then he was pitched straight into that cocked hat, listed level. Ran okay, fine, behind Khalifa Sat. Then went back on the all-weather at Newcastle, finished second over 10 furlongs. That was perfectly fine. As a winner come out of that, and the winner of the race has come out to be runner-up off a higher mark. So the form's fine. Then he went back to Goodwood, heavy ground, didn't really suit. So he's down in trip, which I think will suit him because he does tend to travel quite well in his races. Down in trip, cheek pieces on. 9.2, so around 8
Are we
to 1.
playing?
You better hurry up, actually, because it's been punted. I think everyone's following you in before you've had the charity bet.
So it's just, just a small little win bet here, but he's 8.4, so we'll add him to, 8.6, which is around 15 to 2. We'll add that to the win, to the bet slip. We'll have £20 win there at 8.4, confirm that bet, and that bet's on. So yeah, a bit of a flyer in the first, but can definitely make a case for him.
Bruce, what do you make of this race?
Well, I mean, that's interesting because I did look at Fiji and tried to make a case and lost the faith a little bit. I looked at Vale of Kent because on his best form he's a runner here. And then I thought, well, he just looks like, I know you can never write off a Braveheart, but he looks like he's had a lot of racing. But the money's come for him now.
Run or 10th run since resumption?
The money's come for him, and that is interesting. But anyway, I'm sticking with Laser Show. I think that win last time out was pretty solid stuff, and I just think that he's going to be quite hard to beat. So I've gone very boring with Laser Show in the first, but I think actually 3.15 is quite a nice price.
His best run was on Polytrack last November when he came up against Hookham.
Oh yes, exactly right.
There,
Yeah,
and
Hookham didn't do. He
ran perfectly well
yesterday, didn't he?
Do you think, just touching on the leisure quickly, Bruce, we haven't had a word from you on this, is that finally the race that shows that we might have some OK middle distance 3-year-olds yesterday? Or were you just a bit underwhelmed?
I wasn't underwhelmed with the race. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was a wonderful, wonderful race. There were loads in with chances. All the right horses were up there. The finish itself was absolutely exhilarating. I don't particularly think it means that we've got... No, I wouldn't say that. I think it's a moderate crop. I really, really do. But they're producing good races, so, you know, that's the way it is. Yeah, we've known for a while that it isn't star-studded, the classic generation this year, over the longer trips. But as long as they keep chucking up exciting races like that, I'm not going to moan about it.
They're going to have to grow a leg over the winter, aren't they, to make a top 4-year-old next year?
You never know. Some of them might make that transition from 3 to 4. But, I mean, I would say right now, looking back on it, I don't think it's a vintage crop, but we've got a couple of... We've obviously got the Derby winner running in France this afternoon, so it'd be interesting to see if...
It's interesting as well, just because of the nature of the year that we're in. Some horses may be being forced to make certain targets because there's only one Derby, for example. So they're sort of forcing him in a piece of work just to make sure they get there and stuff. And so it is a bit of a weird year, but on the face of it, it doesn't look particularly top-notch at this stage.
Properly exciting Serpentine coming back, isn't it, in France?
Yeah, it is. Wow. Really interesting
because
race,
we'll find out... We hope to find out whether that was just a complete red herring run or in the Derby, or whether he is
that Laser
That's
Show?
Fiji.
No, it's Fiji, isn't it?
Just to
planner. Who are you going for, Dave?
I like Oh This Is Us. I think Laser Show will he's definitely the right favourite. 3-year-olds have taken out the last 2 runnings of this race as well. I should say that Fiji and Laser Show, so both gents are going for the right age group. He's a 7-year-old, Oh This Is Us, and his form figures on turf wouldn't do much. But he hasn't been running that badly. He's been running very close to his mark. And he does seem better on this surface. He's a course winner here.
What was his great moment? It's the Lincoln. Almost his great moment.
Yeah,
do you remember he just got done, didn't he?
Ryan
Massive
Moore had
gamble.
Ridden, Ryan Moore had ridden like 4 or 5.
I think he was 7 to 2. Well, he was smashed up to 7 to 2, and he just got done on the line.
Ryan Moore was going for like a 5-timer or something like that on the first day of the
And one of the
season,
commentators, I can't remember, it says I can't remember who won it, but it says he saves the bookmakers. That's right.
It was Bravery he got done by in the 2017
David
Lincoln. One of the rides of the season with Danny Tudhope that day, you remember, and you're right, good memory. I like this chap. He's got Luke Catton on taking the 7 off. That's only going to help him, actually. And the only thing that stops you from being really hopeful on him is maybe a stoppy-starty race.
The faster they go, the better for him.
Absolutely.
Remember when he won on all-weather finals day the other year, and he swung off that home bend at Lingfield because they went really quick. And
he always
mowed them
wins
down.
one a year.
Well, Vale of Kent will crack on, won't he?
You'd like to hope that he does crack on, actually.
And Laser Show made a fist of it up front on his last start.
They look
as
like
well.
the 2 pace angles, don't they? Arbelay, should we have a word for him? Possibly the most frustrating
run last time, wasn't it?
He just doesn't win, does he?
No.
2 from 26.
I would want. I mean, Oh This Is Us was behind him last time when they met. A couple of lengths, but this is more Oh This Is Us scenario than it is, I think.
But also,
he's got Spencer on.
You're talking about winning records. I mean, the Portland winner yesterday was a very rare visitor to the winners' enclosure, and he got it done, didn't he? So I think as long as they've shown they can get their head over the line in front.
That was Neil's big white hope yesterday. Right. Dan Zeno, he made the case. It went into Fav. It just burst clear, didn't it? And then SDS sticking to the stand side. Yeah, it comes and does you on.
And by the way, in case you thought people hadn't seen it, you can go back and look at the highlights reel yesterday. As the brilliant Ross Briley commentary brings in the winner, someone shouts, "That can't win."
Did I? Did I? Yeah, there you go. All right. So all year I've been finding these horses. I finally go, do you know what? That horse for me that won the Portland is one of those horrible horses that you used to back and you jump off him, etc. So they're just going down to the starting for our first race here on RP Live. Do you get your comments in? Good to have you on this Sunday afternoon if you're having your lunch, or perhaps if you're on the go. This is the show for you. Hashtag Racing Post Live. Get in on Twitter, YouTube underneath where you're watching, or indeed Facebook Live. Good stuff to have you along. We've got loads of racing. We're slightly later finish today for you. The St Ledger at 4:40 will be our final race. The St Ledger, I was talking to G-Rod, to Graham Rodway on Friday. And this is, sometimes you think that races could be upgraded to a Group 1, a Grade 1. This is one the pattern committee every year must look at and think, if it wasn't for the name.
What, the Irish St Ledger?
The Irish St Ledger.
I was going to say the St Ledger.
No, the Irish St Ledger. If it was called any other race, I reckon it would be a Group 2 now.
Oh, this? Yeah, it's exactly right.
The timing of it's bizarre, isn't it?
Well, look, I mean, maybe you just have to accept that. But
yesterday's winner was entered in it,
Yeah.
at the Cromwells. So
yeah. No, it's just it's one of those things that's unfortunately not stood the test of time and possibly a victim of the general trend towards speed.
Fujiwara Prince going to go off Fav now in the.
I don't know. I mean, I would have thought they could come for Sovereign. It all depends, doesn't it? I don't really know.
He is just about Fav on the exchange
it's
at the minute.
It's a really unexciting race,
4.2, 4.5.
I think Twilight
Sovereign.
Payment's just rock solid. I'd love to see him win it. Yeah.
I looked at the market and I thought, whoa, hang on. When I first looked at the race, I thought, hang on a sec, Twilight Payment is favourite for the Irish Ledger.
Last year's winner, of course.
Yes, a bit of money for her, yeah.
We've got this race at Chelmsford. They're behind the stalls. We've got a social in. Who's got the first of the day in? Let's have a look. It is Frizzy Red. I'll take Vega Kent in the next. Small bet. Yeah, quite right. It's one of those races, isn't it? It's not one of these all-in jobs, this race, at all, is it?
There's plenty of cash for Laser Show, though.
I was going to say, there's plenty of people going all in on that.
It might just be too well handicapped.
It's interesting, though, him, because I was like, I wonder if he's a bit of a Cambridgeshire type horse because he's entered in it. So I was like, but it's interesting, but he's running off 104 here, so he'd get in anyway. So it's just interesting that they're, I don't know, like if he wins this, he'll pick up a penalty for it, won't he? And he doesn't need to.
Feels odd, doesn't it, to think about, St Ledgers and Cambridgeshire's and Sezes, because
you're really getting into the tail end of things then, aren't you?
Very bizarre.
It feels like we're only halfway
next
through.
month, isn't it?
Unbelievable coming up.
Next month,
Yeah, very, very odd. We've got a packed October here on Racing Post Live, that's for sure. Don't go anywhere with that. Jump season, I have to say I'm quite looking forward to the jumps coming back, especially with this show in mind.
Well, do you know, normally I do.
When's Goshen coming back out,
Yeah,
Bruce?
quite. Once we get to September, I normally start thinking, right, OK, that'll do now. Let's get the jumps back on.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed this
We've
flat
only had
seat.
about 2 months, 3
Yeah,
months.
exactly. For that reason, I've enjoyed this so much more. This is like one of those box sets where it's really fast moving. There's action every
have to watch the
single
next one, the next one.
It really, really is, isn't it? I mean, don't get me wrong, the flat season's great as it is in its traditional.
No, you're right, it's been brilliant.
But packing it all in like this, every weekend has been sensational. The Saturday and the Sunday has been brilliant.
June was a real ride, wasn't it?
It's been the whole thing, honestly. So I'm actually much more than normal. I'm not really pining for the jumps just yet.
And again, if you think back to when we were in lockdown, the narratives, and again, just tops it off for me, that Tom Marquand. If you could have told him, well, you couldn't have told him when he lost the ride on English King in the Derby that you will be getting a spare the day before the Ledger.
Having finished second in the Derby.
I'm Khalifa Sat. Yeah, absolutely. Doing Frankie in that. Unbelievable scenes. All right, one more to go in then. Bruce, you're going to call the races today?
I'm like, okay.
Happy days, if you don't mind.
Of course I can. It's only 5 runners.
What can go wrong?
Mile. Yeah, exactly. Well, plenty can go wrong. But
well, let's hope we get the winner.
So, yeah, Laser Show, as the last one goes in, is very solid now at 2.66. That flurry of money for Vale of Kent has dried up a bit. He's 4s. Arbalete is nice and solid at 5.9. Oh, this is us, 8.6. And Fiji, who is Neil's charity bet, has just drifted back out. So would you say here then, Dave, that as the gates swing open and Arbalete looks like it's actually the one to cut out the early rank, do you really worry in a 5-runner race if you're not up with the pace?
Well, I suppose in a 5-runner race they're going to be nicely truncated, aren't they? Now, this is an interesting move. When was the last time we saw Arbalete out in front? And it's Spencer, isn't it? One of the best front-running jockeys around. This will be very interesting. Laser Show didn't look like he was that well away, but he's just on the wing to him now. He's got a little bit warm. Oh, this is us. I think Luke Catton will be enjoying this. This is a fair tempo to my eyes.
Any market moves?
Laser Show tightened up a little bit now, so he's into 7 to 5-ish, which isn't a normal fraction, is it? But he's around 6 to 4, shall we say? So
now he's steadying.
Arbalete's, the market likes that. 4.5. So Arbalete, as they go down the back straight, is leading. Laser Show rather coming up on his outside. Vale of Kent is settled in third. Fiji making ground now in fourth, and Oh This Is Us in fifth as they swing into the short straight Arbalete. With Laser Show challenging on the outer, 2.28 now. The market likes Laser Show. Vale of Kent not going fantastically well, but not out of it. Fiji's coming under a ride now, and Oh This Is Us motionless and 5.3. Dave, you getting excited?
Yeah, he needs to swing wide, Luke Catton. Is he going to do it, or is he going to go out the inside? Oh, I don't want to see him go out the inside.
Well, they're all coming down the middle, aren't they? Laser Show is being forced to the front and has opened up by, opened up by
Come on, old chap.
Laser Show's
Come on,
going
old
right.
chap.
Laser
Get in the run,
Show's
Luke.
got this. This
on,
is
old run.
going
He's coming.
for a gap,
I'll
but
tell you-
Laser Show as they go into the
Come
final
on,
100
get on that
yards.
rail.
Looks
Come
like
on,
he's
Luke.
got it. Oh, This Is Us is coming, but it's going to be a little bit too late. Laser Show wins it by 3/4 of a length from Oh This Is Us, and I have not got a clue what happened behind, but it doesn't really
Fiji
matter.
third.
Okay.
Fiji was third. Yeah, fair play, Bruce. Off with a winner. Your radar's been pretty good this week, I'm hearing, isn't it?
Well, only in that I haven't had a bet.
So
That's been a fantastic win. No, it was all right yesterday. I was good yesterday. I did well.
Good. All right. Good stuff. Well, he's come back with a bang, hasn't he? So, Laser Show, did you go with the progressive Godolphin favourite? It was just a case of right place, right time, I think, in that race, wasn't it? You'll be delighted if you're Richard Allen, I think, because you keep Luke Catton on with that 7, get him in a bigger field. He's going to win another race on the all-weather, isn't he, without a doubt?
I think so. It was a good run, wasn't it?
It was a good run. Yeah. What did he do with the others? Vale of Kent, he's just a handicapper, great.
Just
one
tired.
of these.
Well, isn't he?
Yeah, but we know what the crack is, don't we? He'll keep going, so.
And he'll come up and win, won't he?
He probably
He'll
will.
win at 20-1. Everyone's I thought the horse was knackered, but yeah. That's
A word
what
for
happens.
Arbalete, backfired, front running, do you think? Just doesn't win, does he?
Yeah, just try something different with him.
Yeah.
He said his strike rate's 2 from 26, so whatever they were doing before wasn't working, so you might as well try something different and see whether that can spark him into life. Winner was good, though.
We're off to a flyer. Did you follow us in? Hopefully you might have got the forecast listening to us as well. In fact, the TriCast. We managed to get the top 3. Bruce got it in the right order. Shall we move on to the Curragh? Group action. Now we're ramping up. This is some card today. 4 Group 1s. Really looking forward to the Flying 5, by the way, guys. Glass Slippers. A friend of ours on the show, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's a
I
really
know
good
they
race.
strongly fancy her.
That's
so.
a really interesting race.
Yeah, there's 5 or 10 in that you could really swarm for. So keep your social comments coming in. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like the stream. Let us know you're out there. That's what it's all about. Facebook Live as well. And on Twitter, get your comments in. We will give you your feedback. Loads and loads of great comments in, loads of questions yesterday. Sizzling Sunday. Now, Neil Hubbard, talk to me about the Blandford Stakes at the Curragh. I've just had to go with my old favourite here. This is a race that 3-year-olds tend to dominate. Dermot Weld has won the last 5 runnings. He's got a very interesting Aga Khan horse here. I just thought the lack of experience and while I wouldn't be surprised to see Zarawa, is it run well?
Yeah.
I've fallen for this. I've fallen for
Zawara.
that. Yeah, I've
Have
fallen
you?
for that. I mean, can I jump in before Neil gets his
definitely.
in while we're on this
Yeah.
one? I mean, there are a couple of traps that you can fall into, and that's late developing stout horses, which the market always just assumes are going to turn into art winners.
We
just
gave you a nod
just
yesterday on
because they
that one,
sometimes do. All right, and unexposed Dermot Weld horses. I mean, honestly, the amount of times I've fallen for some of these things and they just aren't there. But with Zawara, I thought that run behind the unpronounceable Derby third.
It is the unpronounceable
It wasn't
Derby
even behind,
third.
actually. It was in front
Yeah.
of. And the pair of them might not have been the strongest race ever.
He
but
did
the
get
pair
an
of them
injury as
pulled-
well, I think, didn't he?
Yeah,
But-
but it was that didn't manifest itself during
Yeah.
the race. They pulled 7 lengths clear of the rest. It's up against a lot of tried and tested fillies, and that's fine. And, you know, she does need to come forward for that. But I think she's going to run pretty well. I was hoping for a bit of market support. There hasn't really been any, but I'm still sticking with Ashinor and Zawara at, I think, Betfair
What is she
currently
now
showing
then, Neil?
23.
23.
Yeah.
at the
Oh,
minute,
okay. Because
yeah.
I saw with the book, so she's about 16s into 11s in places. But and again, Dermot Weld, this is his race, isn't it? He's won the last 4 of them, 5 of the last 6. Neil, tell us about your play then.
Yeah,
Get
so
the market
Magic.
back up on the screen.
Yeah, Magic Wand is predictably the favourite, 3.95. One Voice, actually, Cayenne Pepper's now gone second favourite at 5. One Voice, 5.6. Thundering Knights, Gold One, 9.8. Thundering Knights, 13, and it's 16 to 1 or bigger the rest. This is interesting. Magic Wand is, I think we can all agree, is the right favourite in here. So
I love her.
I don't think there's any complaints there. I found this difficult. I came down on the side of Cayenne Pepper, dropping back down in trip. She's traded very short in 2 defeats over 1.5 miles. So this travelling well, and then when push comes to shove, she hasn't quite. She's either been outstayed, hasn't quite seen it back. So I think the drop down in trip makes total sense. She went off favourite for the Irish Oaks. So
yes,
you know what I mean. So
she ran well. She just
And
Dave Jennings has made a good case in point for her. This is her trip. There's all the ingredients of a Group 1 filly over this trip, Dave. Nicely put.
It's quite a tentative one, I suppose. There is a bit of money for her, which is interesting. Cayenne Pepper would be mine, but it's not. I'm not wonderfully confident in here.
I thought you were going to put One Voice up.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. When she ran behind Fancy Blue in the Nassau, I put her up that day. I do. I'm a big fan of her. I think she's really good.
The guys at My Racing have napped it, Neil. They had a good day yesterday. Of course, Champs-Élysées. What a gamble that was in the making.
Yeah, very much so.
For Johnny, Group 1 Johnny, now Group 1 trainer Johnny as well, Johnny Murtaugh.
She's had a lot of hard luck stories, One Voice. I think I said before Goodwood, like she could be coming here having won like 4 in a row or something.
William Buick jumps on for Jesse Harrington. It's an interesting booking, isn't it? Of course, we've got Master of Seas in the sizzling National Stage. Battleground, of course.
Battleground,
What's that all about?
What, it's coughing?
What was it coughing? Didn't see the excuse.
That's a real shame, though, isn't it? I was so looking forward to that race.
Yes.
Well, I still am, but you know, to be honest though, with Battleground, I was looking forward to place.
They're going for a hat trick. Oh, were you?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. We'll come to that.
Yeah.
I could give you the reason why I would have placed later on non-runner. That'll be thrown out. But
we're gripping stuff here.
Stay tuned.
Well, no, I think if he's trained by anyone bar O'Brien, it would be a much bigger price. But anyway, it's a shame that he's out, but it's still a great race.
One Voice then. I didn't like her because of the draw, actually, William Buick. I thought she might get caught out on the wing. Ryan Moore is on Magic One. You will, apart from the lad or lass that looks after her, you're going to do well to find a bigger fan of Magic One than the guy sitting in this seat.
Really?
I absolutely love her. And I felt so sorry for her that wherever she went abroad, it rained. She needs decent ground, and that I was.
She even went out to the Pegasus or something, didn't she, behind Brooks and Mortar, and it rained.
It just went. It just tumbled down everywhere she went. She finally got that Grade 1 in Australia on ground that wasn't so good for her early in the year. I just absolutely love her. She's always faced with some really stiff assignments. She ran in the Eclipse, didn't she, and the likes of that.
4 lengths.
It was fine. Absolutely. This is a race that she ought to win. Aidan O'Brien's not got a very good record in this race. Let me remind myself for you out there. He's had one winner. That was Up back in 2012, the forgettable Up, from 21 runners in the race. So it doesn't bode well, but I don't know about you with trains like that, with a big stable. I always think that second win's about just around the corner, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, with all trends in sport, whether it's a footballer who hasn't scored for ages or a rugby team that's got a bad record at a particular ground, you know, you've got to look at it and say, look, are these a sign that it's going to continue, or does it mean that we're due one? All I would say with this is that if Aidan doesn't win this regularly, it could be that it's just not one of... It doesn't suit his schedule for campaigning most of his fillies.
In a normal year, you would think that, wouldn't you? Yeah, absolutely.
But this is Aidan O'Brien, and you know, he's got other races that he's won 13 times in 15 years.
Who do you like in this?
Zawara.
Oh yeah, you said sorry, of course.
That's all right, mate.
That's the big hope, isn't it? The 3-year-old.
That resonated, didn't it? First
It
time.
really did. It really did.
Compelling case for that.
I'm on the ball today. Don't you worry. 4 days going. I'm still
listen,
strong.
Dave, I did your job while you were in while for 4 days at Yorton. Yeah. By the end of it, I was completely finished, mate. I didn't even know.
Sterling job.
Yeah. No, so I have total sympathy. I've walked in fresh as a daisy. And you've done 4 days at the coalface.
I had a couple last night as well after the show. And although nothing too serious, I'm still back in the game. Don't you worry about that if you're watching.
Can we discuss Lemista?
Yes.
Because I think Jo Lyons is filly. I think she's got a really, really good chance. Very progressive. Quite gone out to a really big price on the exchange now, 15.5.
I'm a real sucker for these colours. Do you get sucked in by colours?
I do, yeah.
Sostas colours, isn't it?
Yeah.
Peter Brandt.
Yeah, the sort of horse that'll end up with Chad Brown.
My
in
Sister
America
Charlie,
like
etc.
Yeah.
I love these colours. And when they've got 1-1-1-1-1, it's this sort of race, isn't it? Wouldn't be at all surprised if she came up
And also,
good.
you know, I think particularly with female horses, they can suddenly hit some form at a particular time. You get spring fillies, summer fillies, autumn fillies, don't you? Now, obviously, her form has been excellent because she's 3 from 3. But what I'm saying, she might just be good enough to stay on, step up and stay on for a place, I think.
And that's a very interesting point, Bruce, because you could see it at Doncaster, even on the telly. You know, when we've been watching on camera, this is the time of year when fillies can go in their coats slightly. So you will see spikes in the market with people getting on course. the paddock watchers yesterday, there was a spike on Gaeth just before the run, wasn't there? Did you see what Shamey said also yesterday on Gaeth? Honestly, go to your members section or your paper, read Shamey Heffernan's comments, his debrief that he gave. He does speak extremely well, Shamey. And he said, I could see Gaeth having a look at us down at the start. He looked at Magical and he knew that we were up for it. And that's just like...
I'm not having that.
But the riders...
I'm not having that.
Is he not just looking...
There was someone...
Is he not looking at her because he's a colt and she's a filly?
Someone said last night... Yeah, quite.
No, I thought it was a fantastic comment because listen, these guys are down there. This is the Irish champions.
They're horses.
They're
farm
when they
animals.
retire, these are the magical moments that they remember.
They're farm animals. What do you think he was looking at? Going, oh, Christ, that thing's run really well on this
ground. I can tell you what he was probably
time.
looking at. But,
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
what I mean.
Like someone said last night, oh, Gareth, isn't he just a bit of a flat track bully? And if you come after him and eyeball him, he just wilts. What are you on about? It's a horse, not a human. And he didn't wilt either.
Do you not like the saying when they eyeballed each other in horse racing?
Absolute rubbish.
I must admit, I have read that recently.
And when they people say, they cut each other's throats. They say they cut each other's throats up front. They don't. They both just run along next to each other. It just doesn't true. That's a bad one.
Like holding the old...
It's not true.
We'll get the holding the tail in as well while we're here. OK, we've got some socials coming in on the screen. We're warming up here on the show. You can sense that. I can sense you're getting involved as well. Tom Barras, good to have you back on the show. Lemista, good timing. Way too big a price. I'm with her. Good luck for the 4-timer there, Joe Lyons. Pepper bringing it home. The KN spicing it up for Neil Hubbard too. And Andy Sims says one voice wins. Classy race. 5-2, Magic Wand. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't.
She's been backed. She's into 9-4 now on the exchange. Calum Pepper's been backed as well. One voice is a little bit weak.
Good timing.
Yeah.
We have to mention
Gold
Wand.
Yeah,
Gold Wand, because Roger sends a couple of good ones over here today, didn't he? That and Fujiera.
Vivian didn't harm the form when it ran last time.
And we've got to put a word for Tom Siegel. Yesterday, 3 winners out of 4, including the Portland winner at a massive price, and he's gone for Gold Wand. When Tom hits form and suddenly starts seeing the form nice and clearly,
people love him. I did a Cheltenham preview with him a couple of years back at a pub in Marlborough, and a mate of mine came down on the train from London. He went, "Where's Tom?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll introduce you to him." And he just wanted, he's desperate to buy him a beer. And Tom said, no, I'll get these. He went, no. I'm paying for the beers.
Brilliant.
And you're right, he does have that legion of followers. And he got pile driver right all year, didn't he? When no one else was getting him right.
He did, absolutely right.
Read Tom Segal in your members section. It's very compelling arguments for a couple of horses today. And also he does give a word on the short ones. I know that's why punters love Tom so much, because other people, they try and look against the favourites right at the start, whereas some people are like, I like going in on these, I like the shorties, you know what I mean? So when someone like
Punters
Tom...
love a shorty.
Exactly.
If Tom or Keels or whoever put up short
all over
prices, they're all absolutely fine with it,
Yeah, absolutely.
People just want to back a winner, don't
People
they?
just like winners.
Has he put one up in this? That's a good question. I'm not sure, actually.
I've got a friend who's got a tipping line, okay? And he in its original... and he's a brilliant judge, this guy. He's absolutely world-class. But back in the day, he used to tip bigger price winners. He'd specialise in kind of 7-1 and upwards. That was where he saw the juice, okay? And at the end of the year, his return on investment stats was stunning. But you'd have to, if you're tipping at those prices, you have to accept that 20 runners. By the way, just going in, so do get your bets. And I'll finish this story in good time.
His turnover's gone up, right?
You're going to go through some long losing runs, and the traffic to his site just fell off. He's now got this one where he just tips short ones, and they absolutely love it. Yeah. Punters love a winner. Let's see who wins this.
Tom is with Gold Wand, by the way. You've got last chance to get involved.
Yeah, Magic Wand favourite, predictable 9-4, 3.3 on the exchange. As the last
that's solid, isn't it?
Yeah. Really solid. Plenty of money around for her. Calum Pepper is really strong as well, though. Second favourite at 7-2 now, so plenty of support for her since we started talking about it. One Voice is the one that has had to give in the market because of that support for Calum Pepper.
I'll tell you who is solid. Fourth favourite, not mentioned so far. Thundering Knights, Dave. Give that a chance.
Yeah, for a hat. Again, hovered over her earlier. I just think it's a bit of a step up, and Albina didn't do much for the form yesterday. Soft ground, slightly quicker ground. Was against her on that. Got a good draw though. Declan McDonald riding out of his
I don't really like that Albina form, but Thundering Knights herself has improved £19, I think Joseph O'Brien said. So this is the logical next step for her. She's on an upward curve, and as we've just said about fillies in form,
some trainer, isn't he? We had a question from a social come in yesterday, Bruce. Is he going to be better than his father? I mean, it's extremely difficult to call. But again, go back to Tom Marquand's comments. He said riding for Joseph O'Brien for me was a real pleasure.
It's not easy to call. He won't, because there's only one Aidan O'Brien.
Exactly.
And ultimately, the ammunition he gets, you've got to look at what the lad's situation is when he's reaching his pump. They're off and running, and fairly slow. Away was Magic Wand. It's a mile and 2, so we don't need to panic too much. Cutting out the early running is Amma Grace in second place.
Magic Wand down the back, what's it?
Yeah,
no, it's
not that one. That is Elfin Queen out the back in the purple colours. Chasing the leader in second, is that Cayenne Pepper in a nice position?
One voice.
Is it Cayenne?
Cayenne.
Yeah.
I don't know my seasonings very well.
Cayenne.
I thought it was Cayenne, but we'll go with Cayenne. What's the market doing? It's joint favs now.
Yeah, Magic Wand
She's
and Cayenne Pepper. Yeah, both joint favourites at the top of things.
One voice is prominent on the outside, but has drifted.
They are going steadily, boys.
They are, or they aren't?
They are. They are. I'd worry if I was on something out the back at the minute.
Okay, anyway, cutting out the early running is Amma Grace for Dermot Weld under Chris Hayes. In second is the well-backed Cayenne Pepper. Then there's a wave of 3. On the outside is One Voice. In between that is Lemista. And on the inside, we've got Magic Wand, who's forced herself into a nice prominent position as they continue along the lush turf of the Curragh Gallops. It's a beautiful place. If you've never been there, you should go and see it. It's absolutely superb. Handy on the inside, Thundering Knights. And then on the outside, Gold Wand is prominent. The one out the back that looks like it's got it all to do, Shamie Heffernan and Elfin Gold.
Now they're quickening.
Oh yeah, it was actually Zawara that's in
fourth. It's going all right.
Going okay. It didn't have a noseband. So
Magic Wand looks in trouble to my eyes.
Yeah, Magic Wand is 70 and almost certainly can't win. Cayenne Pepper 1.52 now. Can Cayenne Pepper come and collar the long-term leader, Amma Grace? Amma Grace from Cayenne Pepper. Not a lot else getting into it. Coming in from the back, we've got Thundering Knights. But it looks like it's Cayenne Pepper's to lose. Taking its time to see off. A really good run by Amma Grace. But she's getting it done in the end. It's Cayenne Pepper. Who's this running on from the back? Is it Bolivill, the top? So we've got Cayenne Pepper by 3 lengths. Cayenne Pepper comes back to form and shows she is worth her salt. She beats Amma Grace, who ran really, really well. Thundering Knights kept going for third. Bolivill was fourth, and nothing else got into it. Well done, Neil.
Yeah, good shout, Neil.
Pleased with that. I mean, it was a tentative one, but yeah, she did it nicely, didn't she?
David Jennings put 2 points win up in the paper. DJ off to an absolute flyer. Have you been saving that one up?
No,
Worth
it just
her
came
salt.
to me. Just came to me.
You poured it on.
No.
we've got. It's been one of those weeks. There have been some blinding one-liners coming along. Thundering Knights ran well. They're in third, by the way. That's not her ground, and the pace was badly against her on the bars. Perfect positioning throughout that race, wasn't it? Shane Foley, who's got just so many fancied rides this weekend.
Absolutely, yeah. No good either of the wands. They didn't have any magic going today, did they? Magic Wand faded really badly, and Gold Wand never got into it.
That's not her. And going back to what you said about this not fitting, I mean, Aidan's record there. It's just obviously it's a race that he goes, well, we can run something in it. Let's run it, see how they get on. It's something to look out for the Blandford Stakes next year. Not one for O'Brien's, is it at all? Were you with the Cayenne? Did you get involved in that gamble? I think it was around about 5-1 this morning. Probably the best backed horse in the race, bar Magic Wand, Neil?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, there was plenty of late support for her since we started talking about it. So 10 minutes sort of on the show, that sort of time. Yeah, plenty of support for her, and her price only went one direction, so there wasn't any particular in-running highs or anything, because she was in perfect position throughout, wasn't she?
Word for One Voice, always trapped on the collar, wasn't she? And
yeah, market just didn't like her at all. Even right at the start, when you say that she was in third or fourth, and the market tends to like those sorts of horses, but she just wasn't liked at all, really.
I'll tell you who did run really, really well is Amma Grace.
Yeah.
God,
up front.
A terrific run. Yeah,
she was able to control it, wasn't she?
Yeah, but she's really not got beat that far, and she took a lot of passing in the end. I don't know how short she got, Neil. But
she only hit 5.3, which I suppose that's short enough.
She was behind Thundering Knights last time. Has reversed that form. She looks like a good ground filly. She has got soft ground wind to her name. She's absolutely bred in the purple, isn't she? Galileo out of Polished Gem, who's a Danehill mare. And, Weld will be very happy with that, I imagine. He's got Search for a Song, hasn't he, in the
defending champ.
Who did exactly that last year in terms of got on the front end and led him a merry dance.
Yeah, she must have been kept in training with this in mind, I would imagine. But you remember she came off a stunning win at the, was it the Ebor meeting where she won? I can't remember. I think it might have been the Ebor meeting. She doesn't come into it in such good form. She beat Vivian, that perennial benchmark horse.
We'll get onto it, but her form coming into it this year just suggests, though, it's all about today's race. Yeah. You know what I mean? She's been running over like 10 furlongs and stuff.
Yeah, I suppose so.
With a filly, it's okay. That's interesting, isn't it?
But then I've heard David Jennings say that this is the race that it's all about for Sovereign. I don't know. I mean, I think when you go into a flat campaign, can you really put all your eggs in one basket like that?
Fair.
They might have done with her. I don't know.
I just think because of the trip she's been running over and stuff. You know, possibly, she's a Marlin 6 horse.
Okay, right. Let's move on then. We're off and running at the Curragh. Lindeed, let us know how you got on there. Was there anything that you saw eye catchers? We'd like to talk about them through the show as well. 2:55 at Chelmsford is coming up next. Classy little sprint for us at Chelmsford. We've had one favourite go in there. Bruce put up Laser Show. What will be the favourite in the next? Neil Hubbard. Let's have a look at the market.
Woven, 3.35. Actually in the same colours that Fiji ran in before Qatar Racing bought him after his debut. But Woven heads the market under Jamie Spencer, 3.35. Desert Doctor, 5.3. And then Buradin, 7.2. Watchable, 7.6. Raucous, 9. And 14's all bigger. The rest.
Before we go through them and dissect them so people can react, we know this is what they like to do. Neil Hubbard, where are you playing?
I like Buradin.
Tell me why.
Yeah, so he's £1 below his highest winning mark, which actually came on the all-weather. So he's handicapped to win, and conditions are fine. His last run was at Glorious Goodwood, typical sort of Glorious Goodwood handicap run, tucked away on the inside, buffeted around a little bit, but ran perfectly, well. It was just one of those typical Goodwood runs, really. And he ran really well on his seasonal debut at Haydock as well when he was 6th, and he's now £5 lower. So we know he acts on the all-weather. Dropping back in trip is fine. And again, in a field where we know plenty about lots of them in here, he is handicapped to win, whereas some of the others, such as Watchable and ones like that, they're probably still, they probably still need to drop a little bit in the handicap for me. So, Buradin seems to have plenty going his way, and I think he's probably okay at around 6-1.
He has gone under the radar somewhat. I was just looking at the analysis for him. It was in the Toro Strike handicap, remember? A Glorious Goodwood, wasn't it?
He wore the yellow cap. He was tucked away.
Didn't to get the trip, didn't get the splits. Yeah. That's simple. So, okay. And he's down to £1 lower than his last winning mark, isn't he, on the all-weather?
Yeah.
Okay, Bruce Millington, what did you like?
This is my sort of least confident race of the day. There's only 7 runners, but I could make a case for most of them. I've gone for Raucous, who's, there's no secrets to Raucous. I just think he's going to go okay. If there are 8 runners, I'd be slightly more confident. I mean, I think... he's got good handicap form. He's placed in the Stewards' Cup, wasn't he?
He's been highly tried the last couple of times. He actually won that listed race, didn't he? Yeah.
Didn't he run behind the lovely Summergan last time as well?
Brad the Brief, it was.
Newmarket race.
Yeah. So I just sort of thought this might be a slightly easier assignment for him. So I've gone with Raucous. Market doesn't like him. He's 8.8. But as I've said a zillion times on this show, I never fear a drift. The bigger the drift, the bigger the price.
He's got the right man on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk about big prices. Yeah. The guys at My Racing have gone for a win double today. They're going to try and knock it out the park with Leodis Dream in this 2:45, and in the 2:40 the cover Bubbles on Ice. So I had to look up and run about 40-1 at the minute. So if you'd like to follow the guys at myracing.com, which we know you do. Champers Elise, as I said, was a big hit for them yesterday. Leodis Dream coming up in this. Got a bit to prove that chap, but back on the all-weather, he'll like that. He's a pace angle in the race with Dave Loughnane, and Bubbles of Ice in the 2:40 as well. So Desert Doctor, my friend Dave Bellingham did convince me about this chap. Let me make the case for you. 1 second, I wrote a few notes actually on this.
Is this your case or Dave Bellingham?
Well, if he's keen on something like this, I always like to listen to his angles. He's 2 from 3 over course and distance, basically. Can't really knock that. And the key to him is being fresh. After a break of 80 days or more, he's 1-2-2, his form figures read. He will want them to go a fair pace, but funnily enough, despite the fact that there's not that many runners, it really ought to be run at a good pace. You've got Watchable in there, who won 3 days ago, but this isn't really his trip, and the penalty takes him to a mark of 100, the 10-year-old, never won off a mark this high. Woven, the Fav, is a bit of a project of mine. Okay. As a 3-year-old, I thought he might be one of these Simcoe horses, might go to a Britannia or something like that, or He might even get a mile. He's caught in between 6 and 7 furlongs, this horse. I can tell you that categorically he is.
I wrote that he runs like he needs 7.
But every time he goes over 7, Neil, he finds it a little bit gasping.
Needs 6, yeah.
So this test actually ought to suit, but he will want them to go hard up front. That Goodwood second last time came up against a progressive one.
Yeah.
Atlantis Boy, wasn't it?
He was off the bridle quite early.
He's got a chance in this week's upcoming Air Gold Cup.
Yeah.
Or the Silver Cup he might need to get into. But yeah, that's of course coming up at the weekend. Big meeting for Air coming up. So it's Desert Doctor for me. I will have a little bit on Woven just because I can't let him run bare. But a lot will come down to tactics here.
Mm. Do you subscribe to one of my favourite betting maxims is if you can't be a good judge, be a good judge of judges.
This is something
honestly,
you do.
So you don't be afraid to follow good judges. You know, it's like I don't. I mean, you know, in my time as editor, I was busy with GDPR and management and trying to write a column and trying to do this and trying to keep eyes on everything that's going. You haven't got time to keep your snout in the form book. But I'm lucky enough to work with people who not only have the time but are also absolutely superb judges.
Yeah.
So there's no point me sitting there trying to go through a race and say, oh, Paul Keeley and Tom Siegel go for this, but, you know, I think I know better.
Yeah.
You know? Now, sometimes I do think I know better and occasionally I'll be right.
That's the beauty of the game.
But, you know, it's not a crime to follow good judges.
To back that up, one of the most feared punters anywhere in the land is a guy called Chris Broome, who's won the...
I know Chris very well.
He's a top man, Chris, isn't he? I used to do a bit of work for him before I came to the Post. Long story, that one. But he basically got a hold of this algorithm program. And one of the things that he used to tell the guys that were building all these variables in racing was put in the tipsters. That's what I want to do. Let them do a lot of the work for you, basically. He just doesn't have time. I used to say to him, what time do you get up in the morning to get on? He goes, about 11 o'clock in the morning, he'd say. Oh, unbelievable. As he drove off in his Porsche and all that
He
sort of
now writes classical music, very successful.
He's a keen salsa dancer.
Is he?
He is. I used to date
a
salsa dancing teacher. And that's kind of where I met him in one of our classes.
Really?
Yeah. He said to me, I've had my head in a computer. He used to work for Coral, didn't he?
Jacks to salsa dancing.
He used to work for Coral. He worked out he could earn more doing what he was doing than he could at Coral. And Chris, if you are watching this, you're giving everything away. He was terrible at it as well. But I think he did get a relationship out of it.
He's a composer now.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
He composes concerto. I can't stand classical music. It's the biggest load of nonsense ever. But
I don't mind a bit of classical FM in the car on the way out to London. It just zones me out.
You just never know where the next note is coming from, do you? It's just like,
I don't like the chamber music and things like that, Wolf Hall and all that sort of
rubbish.
thing.
Honestly, if I was Beethoven and I came back now and people were still listening to my music, I'd be like, what? Has no one written any better music than the stuff I used to churn
that tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it?
No.
Okay, there you go. Listen, we're getting on with it. So how close are we to the next at Chelmsford? We are around about 7 minutes off. Plenty of time to tell you to like that stream on YouTube. Let us know you're out there. Facebook Live as well. Myself, Dave Orton, Bruce Millington and Neil Hubbard. The final date of the meeting. What's going to win the biggies, the National Stakes? Battleground coming out. Are you disappointed with that, or were you already looking at Master of the Seas or indeed Lucky Vega? Lucky Vega, let's just talk about him quickly for Jesse Harrington. He's in right favourite of the National Stakes. And Tom Siegel says easily the best 2-year-old race of the season so far.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, even with Battleground out. And I'd certainly think Lucky Vega's the one. I mean, I thought the win last time was absolutely superb.
Blistering. The guys really in the gallery were watching the replay, and I was listening to them, and Dan Walsh, one of our producers, went, bang, he's off. That's
I just thought it was brilliant. I thought it was electrifying.
7 furlongs, no problems?
No, not at all. No, not at all. He was finishing really, really well. I mean, it might be, but, you know, I would think that there was nothing in that run last time that suggests the extra furlong won't be fine for him.
And the team are on the scoreboard already, aren't they? So happy days. All right, we've got that coming up.
Where would you put Cayenne Pepper now? Because, I mean, that was an officially good run now, wasn't it? And don't forget, you know, she had good 2-year-old form. I know that slightly, you know, a lot of people's patience with her might have been tested with the 3-2s. But that was a really, really good win, wasn't it?
I'm pleased for DJ because I remember speaking to him last year about this horse, and he knew how much Shane Foley loved this one. I think he thought that was the pick of them. Do you remember she had all these fillies, didn't she? What was the sprinter?
I can't think. Yeah, there were 3 good.
There were 3 of them. Mill Isle.
Yeah, Mill
Isle. Albina.
Yeah,
they haven't quite come up to trumps, and now Cayenne Pepper's finally got there. So everyone thought Jesse Hendren was going to have another boom 3-year-old filly. Yeah, it's taken a little time, but I know that Cayenne Pepper is the one they like. I don't know. You keep her in a 4-year-old, you'd be thinking about Mile 2 races now, wouldn't you? Could you go to the Breeders' Cup with her?
I was going to say, is she US owned? I think she might be US owned.
They're interesting colours, aren't they?
I think they might be US owned. So,
okay. All right.
yeah, Breeders' Cup filly and mare, maybe.
Let's have a reminder of the market coming up for the 255 then, Neil, just as we approach race time. We're expecting Watchable to be bang up there, Leota's Dream, Desert Safari. No hanging around despite the fact just the 7 runners. Looks like Woven's going to be a clear fav.
Yeah, your Project Woven is favoured at the minute, 3.35. And then Desert Doctor 6.4, but money come in for Burradin, who's into 6.6. Then Watchable, Raucous, and bigger prices, the 2 outsiders. But Woven very solid at the top of the market.
Richard Hannon's having another good year, Bruce, isn't he? Did you see Chinned it yesterday?
Yeah, that was good, wasn't it? I think that's good form.
Yeah.
I really did like. Was it Calum Shepard, the Hamdan horse? I thought that debut win was fantastic. So I backed Calum Shepard, but I was really concerned about Chinned it. I should have done the forecast, Chinned it to beat me. I backed Calum Shepard and Chinned it.
And he come and knocked you out. Yeah, unbelievable. All right, let's get another social up on the screen. Here we go. Daniel Mann, good to have you, Daniel. We will pay to see Dave teach Paul Keeley salsa.
I tell you what, I
dated a salsa teacher. I'm not saying that I was that good at it. I was better than Chris Broom.
I did see Paul Keeley dance once.
Go on.
Once in a bar in Clapham. It must have been 25 years ago. A Racing Post Sports Desk Christmas party, and it was absolutely
was he
no good at all. No, it was more swaying really. He was putting his
he does that a lot.
His foot movements were about staying upright rather than trying to impress.
The Christmas parties at the Racing Post, they used to be in Canary Wharf, really, didn't they? And they were treacherous.
You needed to be bred to stay, didn't you?
I once ended up going to a casino. One of his casinos, I say Keeley's casinos, he's a member at all these. It was somewhere in Leicester Square, and me and Ron Wood got in a taxi with him, and oh my God, Henry Harbuck as well. What a triumvirate that was. And Keeley was just, he wasn't really talking much, but the moment he walked into the casino, his face was on.
Focus.
And he just got into life. And he was doing a bit of salsa swaying then as well, so not the dancer Keeley. I don't imagine. Well, if you want to pay, listen, we might well get it on. Who knows? Okay, we've got one more coming up. Having a bit of a crack. Sunday, quite right too. Dean Mitchell, good to have you, Dean. Paul Keeley danced at the RP Cheltenham preview. I agree. He was a swayer. Well, yeah. Oh my goodness. Now, he's got to be careful, hasn't he, Keels? He'll be sort of hoping that maybe this new normal is here to stay, because he totally wrote himself off for the whole big week at Cheltenham, didn't he, in March? Because he just got on the preview circuit and he absolute burnout, wasn't it?
Oh, I've got a feeling he had coronavirus. Honestly, I was staying in the house with him and he was in a terrible state. He was in an awful state.
2 pints, he said, all week he had, didn't he?
Yeah, but that's not true. I mean, that is not.
Okay.
Funny enough, he went down to do a little race preview with Alan Brazil, and I said to him, right, I'll meet you in the Golden Miller Bar at 11:30. He goes, fair enough. So he turns up. Okay, about 11:45. I said, did you have a drink? He goes, yeah, I did the preview with Brazil and then we had a drink. I said, well, how many pints do you have? He goes, 6. And that was in an hour and a quarter, from about 11:15 till 11:45.
When he made his debut on this show a couple of weeks back, we went downstairs for a drink. There's a place you can have a drink. And he said, I'm only staying for one. I've got to get off and watch football, something like that, blah, 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 blah. He was the last man to leave.
Oh.
It was him and Rob Lee, they got themselves into trouble. Anyway, talking about trouble. Are we going to find any trouble in this race? I worry. Do you know what? Ray Dawson is on your Orcus, isn't he? A word for Ray Dawson. Keith Melrose on Thursday when we opened this week, he said it is almost a cheating claim. Ray Dawson's
He's
5.
so good, isn't he?
The Ray
I love
Dawson
the fact that he
factor.
sounds like a sort of someone who should appear in Where Are They Now, shouldn't he? He rode the 1957 Cambridgeshire winner, but he's this up-and-comer.
Don't meet a lot of Rays these days,
You don't get too many Rays these days, but he is a ray of hope, isn't he? I mean, he's absolutely brilliant. And Raucous has been fairly well backed.
Yeah, so Woven still heads market, but Raucous into 7.4, Desert Doctor 6.4. But yeah, Raucous about third favourite now in here, just ahead of Burradin. But Watchable, actually, plenty of cash for him. So there's a few of them that are actually sort of being backed, others drifting off the back of it. So the market, I mean, like Woven is the one consistent thing at the head of the affairs, and Leota's Dream and Desert Safari are the sort of anchors at the other end. But in between them, the 4 horses in between are sort of trading sort of market moves a little bit.
It's quite a good move by David O'Mara to put George Rook on. I like that when horses run under a penalty, get a decent claimer on, just negate it. It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And I think from a punter that gives you a lot of confidence. All right, then over to Bruce Millington for 255.
Okay.
Decent sprint.
They're almost in. 6 furlongs the trip. They start down the far side, do the turn, and then come in. So it's certainly not a straight track, and they're off and running. The 2 that were slightly slower away than the rest were Woven and also not particularly fast. I don't think was watchable. Has that percolated into any market?
Burradin.
Sorry, Burradin,
Yeah, at the back.
He nearly has to leave watchable, so this will be fascinating watch.
Yeah, Woven's still fine at the head of the market, but watchable is the one that's gone for a bit of a walk.
That has upset the pace map a bit, isn't it? So thankfully, Leodis for the boys at myracing.com is going a fair old lick under Kieran Schumacher.
Yeah, Leodis is going a good old lick up front. On the outside in second is Raucous. On the inside, pulling a little, Desert Doctor is very keen. And then we've got Desert Safari in fourth, being pushed along already behind that one is Woven. And then we've got Burradin, and then finally Watchable as they swing into the straight. Leodis Dream is still in front, being pressured by Raucous on the outside and Desert Doctor on the inside. Coming up on the outside also is Desert Safari, the Braveheart. Desert Safari has turned in a blistering turn of foot. Desert Safari is going to win it. It might just about be Raucous finishing second, but Desert Safari has absolutely waltzed that. That really was very, very simple. Joe Fanning flicked the go button and he went and won it. Very, very easy. And that was probably one for the bookmakers.
Yeah, a high of 16 in running, but he was the outsider of the whole field. So not one that would be wonderfully popular, as you say, with punters, but there was no fluke about it.
We didn't really give him a mention, did we? The trials are off in France, by the way. Bruce, keep an eye on that for us, will you, if you don't mind? Serpentine, I think, has gone off in front, hasn't he? So we're about to find out. He was behind Woven last time, that winner at Chelmsford. And it was in a race where the front runners all folded. Now, if you were in a forgiving mood, maybe you were with him out there, because horse is now building that tidy all-weather profile. And it's about forgiving a flop on turf, getting back onto polytrack. He's now 3 from 6 on the all-weather, Neil.
Yeah, he travelled okay in that Goodwood race, but then just sort of stopped really quickly. And so I wrote down here trying to work out whether it was just, did he get involved too much in a pace burn-up, or it was his first run for about 150 odd days. So would he come on for that? It was a dual-winning juvenile, so it's not like he's a bad horse at all. So, he's not winning out of turn, I suppose. Yeah,
fair enough. Okay, so listen, over the top, Raucous ran well then. Okay, what's happening in France, Bruce?
Mogul under Pierre-Charles Boudet has absolutely waltzed to victory in the Grand Prix de Paris. Absolutely won by half the track. The real Mogul has finally stood up.
Very interesting.
6-1 shot. I think he beat, I think I'm Swoop was third. Second might have been Gold Trip. That was a really, really impressive performance, that. I mean, I've been a bit down on Mogul all season.
Well, who hasn't?
Well, yeah, fair enough. Exactly. In fourth place was Serpentine. So, I can now update my stats, which I've got here.
Here we go.
Right, here we go.
The start of the year, this.
Right, these are the Derby finishing positions.
Beautiful.
These are the finishing positions of Derby winners. The most recent is 1 minute old, and it's Serpentine. 4, 5, 2, 12, 3, 3, 10, 2, 6, 5, 3, 9, 8. It is 13 races since a Derby winner won another race.
That's unbelievable. And he's run deplorably there, hasn't he, really?
I mean, he stayed on for... Well,
but he went clear, didn't he?
He went clear and folded and finished fourth.
So can we now categorically say, on the back of that run, can we say that the Derby was not a fluke, but it was just, there was so many just didn't run their races?
Well, it's a rubbish race. It was a rubbish race. I know Mogul ran in it, but it was a poor Derby, and it has been ever since Golden Horn won. We have to face up to this,
and
they need to do something. Racing's got a problem with the Derby because it's meant to be the best race in the world, and it just isn't.
Barry Orr was on Thursday from Betfair, and we were talking about who's going to replace a Galileo. And he was saying that they've bought Wootton Bassett from France, from the Gina Pro. I know, we were like Wootton Bassett.
Yesterday. Who was the winner
but Bruce was deadly.
Barry
was deadly serious about this, did he?
I think
Wootton Bassett, but he was deadly serious about this. He's like, they're desperate to replace him.
Where are they going to get the stamina from?
Where is the Derby winner that has gone on and followed up Anthony Van Dyke?
I don't know. But my point is that we've now had 5 years of moderate Derby winners, and something needs to happen. I know you do get spoils. You can't get you can't get to see the stars every year, but I just don't know where we're going with it now. I think the course is now a relic. It's a freak show of a race course. It is. You've got that ludicrous issue where they're going steep uphill. We said it before on this show, Dave. If there was no racecourse on Epsom Downs and they ran the Derby at York or Ascot or anywhere, and suddenly someone came in and said, "Look, do you know what? I went for a walk with my dog on Epsom Downs. We're going to build a racecourse there and we're going to run the Derby on it." You'd be like, "Are you absolutely mad?"
So, well, that's an interesting shout, isn't it? So, who was it? Tezio, who everyone says, doesn't he? The great Italian stallion, basically, who formed the breed. He said it's the perfect test for the thoroughbred. The fact of the matter is, the reason why I mentioned Wootton Bassett is because the fact that they're buying in Wootton Bassett means that they haven't got that Derby winner, have they, coming through like Galileo? You know,
they might do. Time will tell. I mean, you know, you never know. It might be Wings of Eagles. It could be certain. It probably won't be certain time, but you know, I just don't know. But it does bother me that the Derby is in a bit of a malaise.
Could it be Mogul? Could it be Mogul?
No,
well, because he's going to strengthen their hand now, isn't he? What do you do with Mogul now? Does he go to the Arc?
Yeah, I suppose he does actually. Yeah, he does. He does because of course he does. Yeah, because that's such a good run, isn't it? And he'll be getting quotes for it now.
I was just waiting for him to come
last
through.
Year. He finished 4th, so. Neil, what sort of price is Mogul for?
12s from 50s for the Arc.
Was he 50s?
Yeah.
5-0?
5-0.
This was a horse that was Derby favourite at the start of the year.
And now he's 1-2.
And Aidan O'Brien, he's just mustard, isn't he? He gets the best out of every single horse that he has, including Serpentine, who ran away with the Derby. So, yeah, we're giving a nod to the French races as well. What do you think? Mogul, any chance whatsoever of beating Love and Abel?
He's full brother to Japan, right? Is he? Full brother to Japan? I think so.
Good shout.
Japan ran in it last year, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what I just said. He won that race and then went there, didn't he, and finished 4th. So, where do we go with Gareth now? Can't go to the Arc, can he? They haven't said, but they didn't offer any excuses yesterday, did they?
We don't need an excuse.
Exactly.
Excuse for what?
No,
just about getting beaten in Group 1.
So many people were then all of a sudden. I knew he wasn't the best turf horse in the world. He's just been highballed. He's just been highballed.
He just about got beat. He showed a lot of courage. He battled, and I thought it was a tremendous performance. You know, it's like, he got beat by Magical in a photo. Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
He just got exactly, but the Enable fans are saying we should have kept that #1 rank in the world. You know, Graham Rodway, he was on the show on Friday. And he said Gareth is not the best horse in the world, so he'll of course be slightly vindicated there. But that's what I'm saying. You can't be disappointed with Gareth. Please go to the British Champion Stakes next month, which we'll be covering on this show. Okay, where are we going, guys? I've got the time. Okay, let me have a little look. Let's see. It was slow by 5:18, the last race at the Curragh. So that was first race on the round course. That's good to soft, isn't it, basically? But they didn't go hard. But there's definitely some juice in the ground still there. So bear that in mind. The Magic Wand actually didn't run very well at all, did she? We are going back to the Curragh. Who fancies a Group 1? It's the Flying Five. Loads of British runners here. I really strongly fancy one here. But let's go to, I really strongly fancy one here.
This might be the bet then, because I'm a bit lukewarm on about half a dozen of them.
How can you be lukewarm in this race, Neil Hubbard? Let's get the market up for the Flying Five at the Curragh. Sizzling sprint coming our way.
Al Ali is your favourite at 5.2, 5.3 at the minute. Make a Challenge not far behind, 5.7. Then you've got Glass Slippers, 6.6. Keomoras, 7. Equilateral, 10. And then Liberty Beach, 10.5. And it's 14.5 or bigger the rest. Where's your really strong fancy in this?
I'm mad keen on Glass Slippers.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Fine, like I'm giving it
I've got a feeling.
Yeah, okay, you can do that.
You go for it. No problem. Cheers, Neil. This is. I love the fact that she's not gone to the Ebor. I know the Ryan Yard are very, very hopeful for this. I think this test is perfect for her. Mm-hmm. They were pleasantly surprised by how well she ran behind Batage. They knew, like we thought we did going into that race, that King George that Batage won at Goodwood, that she'd run really well at Royal Ascot, despite some people are a little bit disappointed that she only came 5th, which was a run part of the track, you remember, and it looked like a run. It's great. She won on this day last year. She took out a Group 3 at the Longchamp card. And this stiff finish at the Curragh, if she gets a decent pace to aim at, with, let's face it, Keomoro in the race, there's an argument to say she could be a little shorter. In fact, should she perhaps even be favourite, Keomoro, on the Batage form? But Glass Slippers, everything is right here. Her regular pilot, Tom Eves, is able to go over and ride. Yeah. They were worried about that before the exemption for Grade 1 riders came into Ireland, because, like I say, it's his ride, and he knows it. I just think this is perfect. Third time up, everything looks perfect for her. Yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. She was on the shortlist in terms of likely winners of this, so that's makes total sense. 6.6, so 11-2 at the minute, so pretty solid third in the market here.
behind the two. So the ones where I was, or the different ways of playing this was either I had Glass Slippers. I quite like Equilateral being fresh. The key to him is being super fresh, and he is.
Yeah.
I like the progressive.
No chance.
I like the progressive
It's not good
Sonala.
enough. Why does everyone keep tipping Equilateral?
I don't. I have a friend who has jumped off the cliff with his horse, but when he
think
won
I've
at
ever backed
Maidan,
him.
he was.
Okay.
Back to him, but,
So you're a late convert.
yeah.
I mean, that's extraordinary.
yeah. And then a huge price. I think you can make a case in here for Made in India as well, who's a real wild one at a huge price. But also, I'm not totally convinced by Make a Challenge. I don't know if you fancy him, Bruce. If that was
Don't
going to be
fancy
yours.
him at all. Just place laid him.
Yeah, he was going to be my potential lay in here, Make a Challenge as well. So plenty of different ways to play this, but I'm not wonderfully sold on one particular way of doing it.
Let's play. Let's play.
Okay, here's
Time
what
to
we
play.
do.
What's
Here's
your-
what we do. We Dutch, Glass Slippers and KM Oro. One of those two I think will win.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I really am confident. They've both run fantastically well behind Batash. There's a sort of form book argument on weights and swings to say that KM Oro's the likelier winner.
They both get £3 allowance.
They-
here or
yeah,
whatever, don't they?
do you know what? It's incredible. There's 15 runners here and only 4 males.
Is that right?
11 female horses in this.
There's 8 British runners as well, aren't there?
Yeah.
We've Dutched a pair of them there then.
Good.
So we've done
I'm
that
really
both.
happy with that. I mean, KM Oro 7.8. That seems a really big price to
Yeah.
me. I mean, people aren't taking that run at face value, are they, from York?
But there wasn't any. What could you say that she
There weren't any
missed?
good luck stories. I mean, she's done the run,
just
hasn't
ran
she?
quick, didn't she?
Batash ran well.
We used to dominate this race, and then Caravaggio came out over Aidan O'Brien. It swung a little bit. Fairyland won it. She was in stall 1 last year, so I don't really worry about the draw much in this. KM Oro looks like our hair,
It's
doesn't
first time
she?
as a Group 1, is it? This time.
Is
this
it?
race? I think.
Is
Was
it?
normally a Group 2.
I think, I think it's worth it as a
Yeah,
Group 1. It's a really good field, isn't it?
It was
It's only
Group
missing
1 last
Batash,
year,
I
that's for
suppose,
sure.
isn't it? In
Yeah,
terms
it's
of
good.
who-
It's
who
a really
could be
interesting field.
Neil Hubbard's had an absolute shocker there.
Was it
It was a Group 2 and Caravaggio won it, and then they upgraded
okay,
it
so-
after that.
sorry.
An
God,
absolute
blimey, a
shocker.
shocker. He's hardly got his willy out on it, has he? All he did was say it was a Group
Delete
1.
image! Delete image!
How many
That's a
years
bit
ago was that?
harsh.
then?
All people having their dinner out there going, oh, Bruce Millington, what are you on about?
How many years ago was that then? 4?
That was
5?
4 years ago, yeah.
Oh, 4 years.
God, Neil, get off the set.
Come on, this is a professional outfit, this. Slick operation.
Since when?
You can't be making it since when? Yeah, since you just said he got his willy out on it. Unbelievable scenes. So, Bruce, you think KM Oro will my slight worry about her.
I like them both.
David Jennings is already off the mark with KM Pepper in the paper today. Also puts 2-point win up on KM Oro as well. Basically, the 5 furlong sprint division at the moment. If Patash isn't in the race, it's a bit like when Frankel used to dominate these races and see the stars. Whatever came second or third to them would go and win, Group 1s without them, wouldn't it? So I can see that angle. And it was the run at Thirsk where she blew them away on her return, where I thought, maybe she can handle a stiff finish then. Because they do climb at a line at Thirsk. But this is a little bit stiffer for her. And do horses make all in this race? I'm not sure.
What do we make of the favourite then?
Well,
Ali, who we
yeah,
haven't really spoke too much about.
We haven't.
have we?
I mean, obviously, really good win here time before running at York.
Beat Make a Challenge that day.
I'm
when
afraid
drawn
to say
totally away
anything
from
now
them.
in case Dave says
I
I've had
know,
an
you
absolute
need to-
shocker, but I'm pretty sure that.
Well, don't do the
I'm
alternative.
pretty
and
sure
you'll be
that's
fine.
correct. So look, I mean, I think he's a little bit short. I just think Glass Slippers and KM Oro have got the 2 best bits of recent form and should be front runners. I mean, you can't say that they should both be 2-1 each of 2, but they're just, I don't get why the market is against those and so keen on Make a Challenge, who to me is kind of Group 1 3/4. I just don't think. I think he's going to get found out here, but he's favourite now, isn't he?
The track is obviously he's been here and won, and when he won, he was drawn away from Make a Challenge, and he had to come right and start. He burst that day. The stiff finish is what you want. If you look, if you watch him back at York last time, he was just doing it all too late.
His trainer seems to be very much of the opinion that 5 furlongs is his trip as well, or is what he wants as opposed to 6. So it's just a bit more of a different challenge for him compared to some of his recent winning form in Ireland, isn't it? He's got a different class of sort of opposition.
What about Liberty Beach, a horse that we've all been with at some point, and we Liberty Beach. Ryan Moore's on Keep Busy as well. Curious is in there for Henry Candy, who won this.
Liberty Beach is very well backed. I mean, I really liked her, but I thought there was a danger she was going to get over-loved, and I think that kind of manifested itself last time.
She's just been too keen in her races, isn't she? So she's going to want to get on the back of KM Oro, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with her, is there? Like, she's good, she's going to run a race. I wouldn't say be disappointed if she won it, because
She was ahead of Glass Slippers first time up, but she'd had a run, hadn't she?
This is Glass Slippers time of year, isn't it?
I just think this is this is one that I've just. Although you can make a case for lots of runners here, this is one of my strongest selections.
Well, the betting suggests that though as well, because Al Ali is your favourite, but it's like 5-1 the field. So it's
they
not
are
like
going
you've
in,
got
guys.
Actually, Glass Slippers now is challenged. In fact, Make a Challenge has really taken a walk in the market, and the two fillies, Glass Slippers and Kayamoro, are really popular, aren't they?
Yeah, so let's hope that the Brits, us in the studio are hoping that they can take this home for, I think, the 5th time in the last 10 years. That'd be good. What are you going with? Let us know. Keep the social comments coming in. We'll give you a good shout. All been about salsa dancing recently. Let's get back to racing. How are you doing? We've got some big selections coming up. We'll give you a word. Bruce, I think 1 or 2 more going in. Give us a call.
Absolutely. 5 furlongs for the Derrinstown Stud Flying 5 Stakes. It's a Group 1 worth €147,000 to the winner. We've got 4 males. We've got 11 females who will come out on the Battle of the Sexes, Al Ali and Make a Challenge for the boys. They're off and running, and not a great start by Equilateral. That starts badly, so too does Silver Spear.
Far side.
Cutting out the early running is Keep Busy for John Quinn, and also right up there, Kayamoro. Kayamoro actually is now setting a really blistering pace.
And favourite as well,
Yeah, Liberty Beach is also popular on the outside. Who's that? Just in second in the light
Glass Slippers
blue.
will need
That's
a run in 4th.
Yeah, so it's very much Kayamoro at the moment as they blaze
Made in India, I think.
along there. Made in
well.
India, who Neil gave a good shout to. Where's Al Ali on the far side?
He's just behind Glass Slippers. He's
Make a
being scrubbed.
Challenge has only
comes
got one
Glass
behind, but
Slippers.
he's going really,
This pace
really
has got to
well.
collapse.
Do
This
you
pace
think,
has
you
got
think
to
they've gone
collapse.
too hard? Well,
Come on,
certainly
Glass.
Kayamoro certainly
Come on, Glass.
collapsed. Glass Slippers
She'll
is
eat
making
them.
ground on the
Come
far
on,
side.
Glass.
But it's Keep
Come on,
Busy.
Glass, you've got this,
Keep
you're
Busy
better.
and Glass Slippers. Here comes
Come on,
Make a
Glass
Challenge.
Slippers.
Here comes
Come on,
Sonia.
Slippers.
Glass Slippers.
Come on,
Glass
girl.
Slippers
You're
is going
just
to do
too
it. Go on,
good.
the Glass Slippers.
Yee-hee.
Glass Slippers just about beats Keep Busy. Aye, we're in.
Yes, happy days, guys. Fantastic. Congratulations, Kevin Ryan. Another Group 1. It was 10 before this. 11 make that for the Ryan Yard. We spoke to Adam Ryan a couple of weeks back here at a Racing Post. He was mad keen on this. Everything was right. Neil Hubbard, she was off the bridle a fair way up. We hopefully said to people out there, this stiff finish is what she wants. 3rd time up. Group 1.
Yeah, 12.5 she hit in running. They were strong. They were sort of, there was plenty with a chance there inside the final furlong. Keep Busy's run a huge race at the Ryan Moore,
really
having just
has.
been bought by the tables. That's a really big run.
Your
Gills has been
made
keen on
in
her all
India
year.
ran a blinder,
Massive race.
Neil. Absolutely superb race, my friend. Well played. Just got pipped for
Yeah.
3rd on the line
By
by Sonny.
Sonalia?
Yeah, Sonalia. Yeah.
Sonalia. I'm going to say Sonalia. For Paddy Toomey.
Sonalia.
I just
Yeah,
love that.
Sonalia.
Some disappointments in the race, guys. Let's talk about Equilateral. You said it had no chance. It's just one of those, isn't he? Al
Didn't
Ali's
disappoint me.
Oh, happy days. There are lots of ways to play. So Bruce has come up tops. That pace was just mad. So Keep Busy's run an absolute belter.
Really has. I loved your shout halfway through there. This pace has got to collapse, Dave Orton said.
It just, you can't keep it up. And you feel for Kayamoro
Yeah,
a
but you
little
say
bit.
that, but then doesn't that show how well Keep Busy's run? Because
Exactly.
she, Keep Busy was matching strides
Yeah.
there, wasn't she? And she's
Yeah.
run a stormer.
Do you
there.
remember
hit
the mum?
hit 1.51 in
Do you remember
running.
her mum?
Keep
It was
Busy.
Look Busy, wasn't it?
Yes,
She was
absolutely, yeah.
so tough.
Yeah, very good.
Amazing. She's just a chip off the old block, and they've definitely bought one there to tables. It was just whether he just come on. She probably, I'd say this ground's quick enough for her as well. They think she's mustered on, most ground, but I think you can say that Glass Slippers does like some cut.
Neil, how short did Make a Challenge get? Because
He came flying. Was that him coming flying then down the
well,
outside?
he was motionless, but with one behind with about 2 to go.
3.95.
3.95, yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting, yeah.
I'm going to do something very unprofessional. I'm going to text Adam Ryan, the assistant trainer, and say,
Sonalia hit
to him.
1.8 in running.
1.8, really? That's a strange one, isn't
There's
it?
the result
that's
coming up on the
never gonna-
screen.
that was never going to happen.
Oh,
was it?
there we are, top 4. To keep Neil Hubbard happy. Glass Slippers,
Yeah, sneak
9
that
to 2.
in.
Keep Busy. What a massive run. I don't know. Is she into the air next week? I wouldn't be surprised they found like some listed race for her there or something like that. And she'll definitely come out again. Massive run there. Sonalia flying from the back. Pace really suited that. And Made in India, Neil Hubbard. He can knock them out the park at these big prizes. It went really, really well. Did you play that at all in running, Neil?
I didn't play it in running at all. No.
Most of the bookmakers were 4 places on that race as well, Neil.
Yeah.
So if you've backed your Made in India each way, hopefully a few people have had a really nice place pick up there. I've got to say that was a terrific shout, my friend. Well done.
Yeah.
What made you go for her? Because she, I mean, it's Eric Alston. He's so good with these spins. Jamie Heffernan. But what else? I mean, where did that come from?
Well, it's a bit like Equal Actual in terms of the best fresh sort of angle. Like her record off of breaks of more than 50 days, which you can look at in your Racing Post profile. It reads 115-113, and so she was here off of 56 days. She beat Dakota Gold at Newbury last year in a Group 3. That was really impressive, that is. And on her seasonal debut here, she was this season she was 3rd at Haydock. But she was conceding like upwards of a stone to those that finished in front of her. She ran perfectly fine that day to finish 3rd, and then 2 runs since, fair enough. But like, she's best fresh, so I can forgive those last 2 runs. So look, there's one of these.
Knowing your horses, then.
Well, it's one of these things where she's a big price, and so she's a big price, so you have to forgive certain things because she's the price she is because of how she's been running. But if you have to look a bit deeper sometimes, don't you, at these things? And in a race where we said it was like 5-1 the field. At 50s, like, she's not going to be coming over here if she's not ready for it as well, especially in these times as well. So,
Neil, when you have your Racing Post profile set up, do you default to having the breaks shown? Do you have it on?
Yeah.
And just in case anyone at home's not quite sure what we're talking about there,
Sorry?
I tend not to actually, but you can you can mess around with your profiles, can't you?
Yeah.
And you can set up to say that so that it will show if they've had a break of over a certain time. There's a great big thick line. All the Aussies would have that because the Australian racer is their obsession.
the other one I like though as well is the non-runner info, because I think you can toggle that on and off. And it's interesting just to see because it was always really difficult when, like, before that feature was added, you'd always hear like, oh yeah, because it was a non-runner last week, wasn't it, at Ayr? And you're like, was it? I can't remember that. And so, but now it's in the profile, so you can see if it was a non-runner because of ground or anything like that.
People like them to be compacted as much as possible, like the race conditions you can turn on and off and things like that. That's one that I do turn off. Race settings, we've all got our favourite settings, haven't we? When I used to go into Sky or at the race or something like that, you jump on the same computer as the man who's been, say you're doing an evening shift to that. I went through this spell of following in Mick Fitzgerald, who'd been in for a jumps meeting, and I'd go in for an all-weather card or something like that. Mick Fitzgerald had every single setting you could possibly have on. And I'd jump on, and I haven't got time to go back to this. delete, setting, delete. And he'd be like,
But it's really important, Dave, isn't it? Because we obviously had that fantastic 3 months for a tenner offer.
Yeah.
And so we've got a lot of new subscribers to Ultimate.
Quite.
And you do need to realise that with those, don't be afraid to go on and have a little prod around on your profile, because you can. The best thing is to sort by ground, isn't it? So, you know, if you've got a jumps race and all of a sudden it chucks it down, you can press ground and it will give you the results by ground time, and you can just see where it suits. It's just so helpful. It really, really is.
Happy days. All right, so look, that was Group 1 action. Glass Slippers, that's her second Group 1. Congratulations if you weighed in with it as well. Super when these fillies come good, isn't it? Okay, let's move on. Back to Chelmsford we go. 3:25. Final race there for us on the day. Interesting little handicap. It really, really is. A couple of angles in here. A bit of a hot pot as well at the top of the market, who's yet to run on turf. It's Cry Havoc.
Yeah, and market leader, as you say, 3.8. Then joint second favourites with Silverline and Aljari, both 5.3. Fleeting Prince, 5.7, and 11-1 bar the rest.
Yes, where do we play then, Neil Hubbard?
I quite like Fleeting Prince.
That form's been advertised, hasn't it, this week, the last one at Doncaster?
Yeah, he's another one who, like, he was 4th in a Group 3 on the all-weather over 6 furlongs on his first run back, and he was hiked up £11 for that. But he's been dropped £2 after 3 subsequent runs. He ran okay at Glorious Goodwood on his penultimate start. He's only had 9 starts, so still unexposed. As you say, it's a sort of tight little race. Yeah. But I didn't mind him here.
His last one at Doncaster, which came with a mark of 99, Ben Coates rode him. He wasn't really fancied in the betting. He did hold every chance. And that with better tactical nous at Doncaster this week, we could have seen 2 subsequent winners, I think, come out of that. Galleon, who we saw on the show, just plenty went against him, I think. And Diocles of Rome in the first race at Doncaster yesterday. Don't talk to me and Bruce about that one. We had a good go on that with a lot of people, I think. And he just got going all too late. So it was a good race.
Yeah, interesting with Fleeting Prince. Like his wins and places in his career have all come over 6 furlongs. So you'd naturally assume he'd want 6. But actually, on your RPRs, which is where the handicappers judge, give him a rating on that run, his best 2 RPRs in his career are actually over 7 furlongs. So whilst he hasn't necessarily hit the win and place mark yet, he has run his best 2 races over this trip, to give you a bit of hope that actually he'll be perfectly fine over this distance.
Are you going to play then? Shall we
Yeah,
get
I think
it on?
so, yeah. So nip back to the market there. Yeah, so he's 5.9 in here, which is just shy of 5 to 1. So we'll add that to your bet slip, and we'll have £20 win on him there at 5.9. So that is on for us at around 5 to 1 there.
All righty this week, by the way.
The retraining.
ROR again.
Yeah.
ROR,
good.
Yeah.
We-
Well, they were
I think-
sponsoring some races at Chester yesterday as well,
Fab.
so it sort of aligned quite nicely.
And Ollie Cole did on last Saturday Sprint Cup meeting. He made a good case for that, didn't he?
Very much so,
That was a
yeah.
bit of an issue there at the
Excellent
minute.
charity. There's a lot of horses need rehoming and retraining, so that's good.
Make a case for the winner, Bruce, in this race.
Well, I don't know who it is, so I can't make a case.
Is it one of these?
I'm being
Tell you in
facetious.
20 minutes.
Oh, no, listen, that's
I've-
fine.
I've
isn't it? You
gone-
don't have to play in every race, do we?
I've gone with one that I think might be a bit of value. It could blow out. There's only 7 runners, which I'm glad about because I haven't been sucked into an each way bet, and that is Sanard for Michael Wigham. The back form's actually pretty good. Not run since January, but had Glenn Shield behind him that day. And if you delve into his 2019 form, there's bits and pieces there that suggest he might be okay. I must admit, I don't know why he's been off for so long, but I'm actually not too fussed about horses coming back because I think they quite often they're given a lot of time. They appreciate the fact they've had to kind of.
Yeah.
I think when a horse has been off for a while with a specific problem, sometimes you can find a few other bits and pieces get cleared up as well with the rest. So I'm hoping that's the case with Sanad. The market support is, it's not drifted alarmingly and it's not been back spectacularly. So I'm going to go with Sanad, who's currently trading at 11. Very interesting. Another horse that hasn't run for a long time is Silver Line, and that's been really, really well punted. That was the other one that caught my eye. So I'm going with the back form, and I'm going with Sanad, but I think Silver Line might run very well as well.
That Sanad race that he won at Newcastle, I've backed this horse quite a few times. He's one of those that can make you scream at the telly because he does need to almost find a little bit of trouble. He's one of these horses that needs to ignite. He beat Rathbone that day by a neck. We saw him run. And Glenn Shield. Oh, This Is Us was 4th. Kaiser Soze, a proper all-weather horse as well. Straight Right was in the race.
That sort of form puts him bang in here, doesn't
big
it?
time. So you're basically betting that he's revved and ready to go. Now, with this stable, Michael Wigham, sometimes it is a bit of a cliche, canny trainers, isn't it, and shrewd operators, but he's deadly when he gets one targeted, I think, this trainer. So Joe Fanning on means that you can expect to run for your money, I think. Should we look at this Silver Line then? I like Aljari, just to get that in there if you wanted to get involved. But it's an all-weather debut. Dark Angel, Tabawi should be fine on it, I think. First time out. Oh, now I remember why I'm talking. David Jennings, I did a show with him. I can't remember what it was. It was a feature show. He says, was it the Balmoral he ran? It was behind Kinram, wasn't it, his last run? It was the Challenge Cup. He says that he's got this little syndicate, like a WhatsApp group they do every Saturday. He'll put a tenner in, and they try and knock one out of the park. He was absolutely convinced that this would win that race. It ran deplorably, actually, on soft ground. But there was something that he'd seen at Sandown in a listed race behind King of Change at the time before. Again, this is a horse that could just have a little bit ahead of
He's
its
another
mark
one
fresh.
who's super good when he's fresh as well. So
And has been really well backed.
Yeah,
hasn't he?
Calum Shepard's having a really good year for Side Bin in particular.
So including his debut, when he's racing off of breaks of more than 50 days, his record is 1-10, then 4-3-1.
Yeah.
And he rocks up here after 344 days off. So, and the fact he's a 6-year-old and they're still going with him.
Good point.
He could have gone to the sales in the way that and probably been bought by Dennis Hogan for not much money and been tearing it up over in Ireland.
Yeah.
So the fact he's still going as a 6-year-old suggests that he's either a bit of a favourite in the yard, and I don't know whether that necessarily applies to the Godolphin yard or not. Or
Yeah, we love this one.
yeah, exactly.
exactly.
Or they
The
must think
pet.
he's still capable of, I don't know, these big handicap sort of listed group level over in Maidan and stuff like that.
He's a lovely colour. We just see him on the screen. Look at him.
You can see the name,
Beautiful
can't you?
grey.
He's
You
genuinely
understand the
silver.
name, yeah.
And
He's
Said Bin
gorgeous.
Surur, the trainer, won this race in 2018 with a horse called Victory Wave, who was also coming back off a break. I'll make a case for Aljari then. Marco Botti's 4-year-old, 1 over 6 furlongs at Newcastle last time. Really good time that day. Beat a horse called Dandy's Gold. Stiff track he needed that day. Perfectly good over this this distance. He was actually behind Sanad a couple of backs. So, but I
He
just
ran
think he's
okay
slightly
behind
unexposed still.
that Darrick as well. Who I know he disappointed at Royal Ascot, but he is a bit of an all-weather machine. That Darrick,
very much so.
Yeah.
That was a good race. That was.
Yeah.
So I just thought he'd do. I just thought Cry Havoc was up against a better calibre of individual here.
Yeah, and he really caught the eye on his last run, doesn't he? He's one of those horses, I think you've spoken about this before, Bruce, as well, where he absolutely flew home before, and they're the ones that you sort of... No, it's not to say he can't win, but they're the ones that sometimes get a bit overbet, because I think that was in a Class 4 or something like that, and he's up to Class 2 here. So he's playing with a different class of animal in here. It's not to say he can't do it, but he's perhaps a tad short.
Okay, but Ray Guest on the all-weather and George Rook taking off 5. It's a combination that come up trumps.
Oh yeah, it's not so. Yeah.
Are you with the Fav? Are you going for something out the park? What are you going for the National Stakes, which is coming up? We've got the Moyclair as well, and then the Irish St Ledger for you as well. We'll be keeping an eye on the stuff in France also too. Stradivarius coming up there. Well, what's he going to do in the Foy, which Valgeist won last year?
What's happened to the pre-Neil?
It's been Keith Melrose was talking about this on Thursday. He said for 1 year only they've condensed the 2 races. It was the Grand Prix de Paris, which is, so they've mixed it up a little bit there. Yeah, the Niel was the one, wasn't it? It used to be the one, whatever.
Mogul would have won it probably.
To be fair, there's probably a case for keeping that permanent, because they used to get the Foy, the Neil, and the Vermeil. And
you're now getting a bigger field, aren't you?
There were only 4 runners each, weren't there?
The Grand Prix de Paris is normally on Bastille Day.
We've got the Vermeil as well, and we've got Rabina in that.
So I guess it'd be a case of the Niel and the Foy being merged.
Yes, exactly.
Are you with anything in the Arc? Has anyone taken an anti-post position? Did anyone get with Love? She won the Moyclair, of course, on this day last year.
I'll tell you why I can never back anti-post in the Arc, because you don't know what the ground's going to be, do you?
And that could be a bit of a spanner for her, couldn't it?
It could. Yeah, I mean, at 2, her 3 defeats were all when there was soft, or whatever that other word they use is beginning with Y.
Can't even spell it.
Yes, like Scottish play.
It is very odd. I've had to explain that. What is yielding? I don't really know, to be honest. It's good to soft, isn't it?
It's funny. We were talking yesterday about my daughter, things that baffle her in sport. Someone made reference to a light heavyweight. She goes, "What's a light heavyweight? That's mad."
You're either Dave Orton or you're not.
I was trying to take her through the weight divisions. She goes, "That's just weird." She thinks this is the weirdest sport of all.
I'm not sure I'm particularly good. Just looking back over Arc winners, just to refresh one was the last time I actually backed the winner of the Arc. I'm not too sure if it's a particularly lucky race for me.
It's a hard race. It's a really hard race.
I was there when Abel won her second. Were you there that day? When she won.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Anyway, last one's in.
Okay, we're almost all in for the 325 at Chelmsford. It's the Betfred.com handicap. It's a Class 2 over 7 furlongs, and they are away. And Sanad, my one, is giving them 10 lengths at the start. That's handy. Also giving them a bit of a start is Al Jari on the inside. Coming up on the outer is Silver Line. It's beautiful, gleaming coat. Calum Shepard makes his way across to the inside. He certainly didn't waste any time doing that, did he? On his flank is that Cry Havoc or Eagles? That's Eagle Creek in second. On the inside, in third, is Revolutionise, and then behind that is the favourite Cry Havoc. Any market moves, Neil?
Yeah, Silverline is now your market leader, and he's on the front of things, and so you can see why punters want to be with that. Yeah, 2-1 now.
Yeah, it's just about whether he's being harried. It's a little bit like Gayeth and Magical, this, isn't it? Eagle Creek's giving him no peace whatsoever.
He's fine.
This will suit Cry Havoc, I think.
He's absolutely fine as they turn in now, and the pace increases. The jockeys start to flap their arms frantically, and Silverline leads, going into the straight from Eagle Creek. These two have opened up now. Yeah. Cry Havoc's going to have to go some to catch them. It looks like it's between these two. It's Silverline just about now. Here comes Eagle Creek. Here comes Cry Havoc. And also, here comes Fleeting Prince. Fleeting Prince now. The race has changed. Cry Havoc has opened up. Cry Havoc by 2 from Fleeting Prince. Cry Havoc wins it by 3/4 of a length from Fleeting Prince, and they are 4 lengths clear of the remainder. If you back the favourite, well done. Go and collect.
Yeah, it was in a lovely position, wasn't it, turning in, and the fact that Eagle Creek was worrying Silverline a little bit, probably just done him slightly. Going to that far rail as well, never like it. I love it whenever a horse comes down the middle that you're on at Chelmsford. I don't know what it is. I don't think there's much of a camber there, but. Again, that was a race where born out at Chelmsford, isn't it? Can't get too far back. Sanad beaten from the gates, really, wasn't it? That looked like very much a comeback. My Al Jardi just got too far back. Doki Costello wouldn't have wanted to be where he was. Fleeting Prince has run well, Neil.
Yeah, he's run okay. He sort of he broke really well, and then he took a pull and sort of went back in on the inside, and as a result, then he had to come sort of wide and round all of them. He hit even money in running, which seems a little bit short, but Silverline 2.26. Fleeting Prince.
Wow.
What are they seeing, these people? Honestly,
Well, I don't.
people get so
That is a weird one.
intoxicated by closers, don't they? That was never winning.
The winner hit 9.2 in running.
Well, in actual fact, turning in, he's not going particularly fantastically. And also, I thought the two on the outer, Dave, Silverline and Eagle Creek, really did come across quite sharply, and there was a bit of a schmozzle on the inside.
Let's have a little look at that then.
So turning in, really the winner's not absolutely flying, but he's done what you said, slingshotted across to the middle of the track, as indeed has the runner-up Fleeting Prince.
Fleeting Prince actually hit at that point when they sort of turned for home. He actually went out to about 80 to 100 in running and then came back into even money. But I'm guessing about here maybe. But.
So we've seen 2 races go to 3-year-olds, haven't we? So the progressive sorts.
Well, both 3-year-olds there, weren't
Laser
they?
Show. Yeah, they were. So 3-year-olds have dominated there. Again, maybe is it the time of year when just these unexposed ones are coming. But
Fleeting's run really well there.
Really
actually.
well.
To get beat 3/4 of a length there, I think that I wouldn't say it's the moral winner by any means, but it was
I
a
know
really,
what you
really
mean.
good. I think that's
that
one that's
tracked?
got a bit in hand. Yeah,
that tracked?
Yeah, that could be in the tracker. That
you sent me a text the other day, didn't you, about something that we were backing, and we said that ran deplorably. Oh, I won't say the horse what it was, and you went, "That's untracked."
Yeah,
and I've never heard that. Yeah. And I thought, yes, let's untrack it.
I know we all think we've got the best looking pets and the best tasting music, but I've got the best horse tracker in the world. Honestly, it's just brilliant. I just see these horses, like I think, wow, that's unlucky. And then they come up. Your horse is running.
My tracker's better than yours.
I can't remember where I track them, but I had one at 22 to 1 last week. It was absolutely brilliant.
You don't make any notes in them then?
No,
You
I
just
don't.
You
I
back
should
them
do.
all.
No, I don't back them all because there's some. A horse tracker's like a sock drawer. Every so often you need to clear out the old ones.
Yeah,
don't you?
big time,
And
yeah.
I've still got ones floating around from years.
I had a bit of a purge on mine the other day and
Yeah.
went through them and I was just like, I'm not still having him in it.
I
because
use
it's
Raceform
just gone
Interactive
now.
list manager, you call it on that, and you've got jump. You can separate them. You know, you can get all different specialists type ones, all weather jumps and all that sort of thing. And at every start of the jump season, I'm like, who's that?
Yeah, exactly.
I've got a clue.
You should have, like on your iPhone, when you delete your pictures, they stay in this recently deleted file. You should have that on your tracker as well, shouldn't you? Because if you chuck them out, it's almost like a parachute payment. You should keep them for maybe one.
I
run
actually
before they finally
make
go.
notes on them, and then turn on the different notifications. So if I've given up on one, but I just want to keep them, I'll just I'll sort of untick the notification, but you keep your stuff in there because then the next time he runs and it comes back on, you flick it back on.
I love a tracker.
What are your trackers like? Are they better than Bruce's? If you had some absolute out the parkers, Bruce's trackers better than ours. And yeah, listen, that would be horrible, wouldn't it, to let one go and then look at the results and go, that was in my tracker.
Yeah, but you have to accept that, don't you? You can't, the worst you can be is a sentimental, over-loyal punter.
I tell you what,
the
biggest test of punting sort of courage or punting nerve is when you've got a tracker horse running and you don't back it. So you're aware of it.
Yeah,
that's
you're
what I mean.
aware of it.
Yeah.
And the market puts you off or something, or
You look at it and you
A
just
jockey
think,
book another
no,
one.
I just don't like that. That takes quite a lot of
Yeah, it
nerve
does.
to be able to do that.
Who wants another Group 1? Fancy it? I do. And it's time for the fillies to shine. Again, it is the Moyglare Stakes. Love took this last year. She came in it with a 5 next to her name. We've all seen what she's done this year. Have we got another one in the race? Well, we've got a very well-fancied horse here. It's 2 from 2 between Pretty Gorgeous and Shale. And Joseph Patrick O'Brien's horse with Declan McDonough on is expected to take it out according to the market, Neil.
Yeah, 5 to 4, so 2.3 at the minute at the head of affairs. Then Teresa Mendoza is just nipped ahead of Shale. So Teresa Mendoza 6.6, Shale is 7, Mother Earth 9.8, and then double figures the rest, led by Thunder Beauty at 20. So yeah, a very solid favourite here in Pretty Gorgeous, and then bigger prices the rest, really.
What did you like?
Well, we were talking about this off air, and Pretty Gorgeous, if you look on Racing Post ratings, she's rated 124, I think it is. And
You've been waiting to get this in,
I know, we were talking about it off air, and so we were talking about what a brilliant race the National Stakes is, and it is. Pretty Gorgeous is rated the same as Lucky Vega.
She'd have been fav.
And she's rated higher than Master of the Seas and Battleground. So we're talking about what a good race that is coming up. Well, if Pretty Gorgeous was in there with her allowance, and it should be clear favourite for that. She'd probably be this price against them, against the boys.
So it goes back to what they were saying in the Oaks and the Derby, doesn't it? How would Love have fared in the Derby or whatever with an allowance and that sort of thing? She'd have hosed that, wouldn't she?
So there is a way of looking at it that 5-4 Pretty Gorgeous in here, considering how head and shoulders she is in terms of the whole crop of juveniles, not split this boys and girls. If you look at the whole crop of juveniles, then she's probably the best in training.
Yeah, Bruce, are you with this?
Yeah, very much.
I'm with this as well.
Yeah, so we're back. Yeah, I'm very happy with this.
Okay, I'm very happy with this as well. I like her drawing 5 as well. Those on the flanks haven't been doing so well.
I think there's some interesting ones that we can talk about further on, but in terms of the most likely winner in here, I think.
Yeah, I think this is a good, solid favourite. I mean, I think this is one you can have a decent cut at.
Yeah, she was soft ground last time, wasn't it? I think when she beat Shale, it's 1-1 between them, as I said. It was soft ground. She has won on yielding at Bellewstown of all places, whatever that is. But is there an argument to say that Shale might be a little shorter? I know the guys in the gallery think that for sure.
There is, simply because Shale's beaten her.
Yeah.
So you can argue
and better
that.
ground here. Would probably be up her street.
They changed the
Which
tactics.
sport normally takes place on Shale?
Oh,
don't know.
Speedway.
Again, you just know
That
too
is
much about
that is the official name of the.
Have you ever had a bet on Speedway?
Mate, there's nothing I haven't had a bet on.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I've had a bet on Speedway.
You can bet on Speedway, of course you can.
Of course you can. It's brilliant. Monday night.
Remind us of lockdown. Just you've got a great story about what was that cricket match in lockdown? In lockdown when everyone had to search for something to have a bet on.
Taiwanese cricket. And someone said the bowling's terrible. You've got to go over the runs, and it was literally like a group of blokes in a park. It was unbelievable.
You've not been watching the cricket, the T20. It's something like
me coming up to spin,
it was
bamboozle you with the googling.
It's not National League cricket, but something like this where they're playing on an artificial.
Yeah, it
wicket.
was on an artificial wicket. Yeah, it was
These
incredible.
markets are out there.
And you get like Sweden against some Swedish team against someone else as well that's currently on.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Let's get a social comment on the screen. What have we got coming up? Who's joined the party again? Walter Mitty. Oh, out there. And dreaming of a win on Pretty Gorgeous. Now up for next year's Guineas. Yeah, listen, Neil, just quickly, she is favourite for the 1,000, I'm assuming.
Yeah, let me just when that comment was coming up, I was just about to get the market up.
Flies on Neil.
Yeah, well, I'm behind at the minute, aren't I? But I was just getting the market up here to have a quick. I'm getting there. Hold on, 1,000 guineas, isn't it? Dandala is favourite at the minute with
slightly forgotten about
with Indigo Girl and Pretty Gorgeous, so 14-1 each of the three up there. Mother Earth is at 20s, Shale at 20s. We need to get this bet on, actually. Let's get this bet on.
And then tell us whether
Gorgeous.
you think that's a price that could contract, Neil, if she goes and serves something up here. Well, it obviously will, but by how much?
Yeah, so Pretty Gorgeous. There's a bit of support for her in here. So she's 2.24, which is around 5-4. So we'll add that to the bet slip, and we'll have £50, I think, on her here at 2.24. Confirm that bet, and that bet is on. Yeah, so if she goes, if you'd expect her to win this by 2-3 lengths in here, then she's going to be half that price, isn't she? She's going to be clear favourite for the Guineas.
I'm baffling you with my facial expressions, aren't I? You mentioned the Dave Bellingham tip in the 3:35 at Wolverhampton. I thought, well, I must remember to back that, and I just looked and it won.
Aye, King of the Sands.
Don't rub it in.
Oh, sorry, Bruce. Did you not get on?
I was so busy trying to be
the boys in the gallery get on. I told them all to back it.
I was so busy trying to be a good
broadcaster.
Yes,
they're going raucous in the gallery. The King of the Sand. It's hosed up as well, isn't it? I've got it on my Sky. Aye.
What price was that?
Well, I got 9-2, so... listen, we did mention it at the top of the show. Did you get with it? It's absolutely hosed up, isn't it? Look at that. Oh, Lord. Okay, fair enough. I do apologise about it. But
no, that's right.
It has gone your way in other
ones,
hasn't it?
You.
Thank you. You look it. You sound it.
I'm really delighted for you, Dave.
So my day's just perked up a little bit. I must admit I was keeping one eye on it as well. I think it's about to be another race in France as well.
Glass Slippers is 4-1 from 6 for the Abbey.
It's the Vermeil that's just about to go out in France. But we are down at the start of the Moyglare. That's what we're going to cover here. We'll talk about Rabino. She's just drifted out a little bit in France, I can see. So,
I hope she wins and wins really easily here.
What? Because
just to add a bit more.
Tom Segal, what you do, right? Stefan Edwards, who I work with in my analysis department, he's got a thing about Tom's go. He predicts what he's going to put up, and he just gets it easy now. I think he's just worked Tom out years ago.
Why does he do that?
He said,
why does he try and work out who's going to win?
Well, look, when he used to get in and say, "No one tell me what he's gone for," and he'd open the paper in the office and he'd go, "Yeah, it told it," or we'd go, "Ah, you got it wrong again." But in the art, you look for the 3-year-old progressive filly that gets what. That was the only one left at the time. She was a big price, so Tom's all over that as well.
Yeah, I hope she just wins really well because it just adds another interesting.
She's massively drifted.
Yeah, she has drifted out. Yeah, so okay, so we are down at the start, ambling around behind the boxes. That's an expression I got pulled up with. Somebody who watches shows a lot says, "You always say that."
What, behind the boxes? What's wrong with that?
No, I say ambling down to the start. Apparently, I say ambling.
I say milling around. That's what they do. They just mill around, don't they?
Do you mill around a lot? You're named to mill around.
Yeah, I do actually. But that's what they're doing. They're milling around or they're ambling around. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
What, someone pulled you on it?
Well, you always say they're ambling down to the start. Do you always go to that expression?
Walking.
They're making their way to the start. I don't know.
Slowly.
I tell you what, there's something's happening in the market which I'm not surprised about. Teresa Mendoza has drifted. I couldn't quite see why she was second favourite when we started talking about this race.
Yeah, Shale's the one who's now clear favourite now.
Yeah. And Rabina got turned over by the looks of that in France, did it, Bruce?
Tarnawa won the race.
That's Dermot Wells, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tanawa.
Is that one of those unraced Dermot Weld ones that you didn't
exactly. Yeah, that's the one I didn't get sucked in.
It's been a good 5 minutes for Bruce out there. Rabina, I could just see it in the corner of my eye. There'd be a lot of disappointed people out there. It looked like she was flashing home late. So.
Ran on by
almost all in though, chaps.
Okay.
Right, who's going to be second and third? We all think Pretty Gorgeous is going to win. I thought Thunder Beauty
yes,
might run,
I like
but
her
anyway,
as well.
they are off and running slowly away. Early on is Thunder Beauty. Yeah, that's handy, isn't it? Okay, where's the
That's a
fab?
hat trick of disappointment.
Shale is up there on the outer. Mother Earth looks like she's making the running.
Pretty Gorgeous is being
buffeted
buffeted a bit.
Rough in behind
Where is
there.
Pretty Gorgeous?
That was it. Just
She got a little bump there.
Where is
Just
she? In
midfield
midfield.
by
She's
the
in those
yellow and
really
red.
pale yellow.
Yeah.
Because if they wear different colours, like Fairyland, you just don't associate them, do you? Anyway, Mother Earth is leading. What's Pretty Gorgeous? Right out to 2.6 now.
She got a bump from Auntie Bridie, the Kevin Manning and the Bulger also. Obviously put her off her stride, but she looks like she's
settled back down a little bit in the market though.
She's going well. Eleonora for Michael Grassi, that's got absolutely no hope whatsoever. So Bruce, they're around about 2 furlongs out. It is developing.
Yeah, Mother Earth still leads the way. Just coming under a ride is Shale. Looking for room now is the favourite. Here comes Pretty Gorgeous. On the inside going very well is Snowfall.
She's still green.
But here comes Pretty Gorgeous.
The old
Giving
pair.
chase is Una Data for Jessica Harrington.
Wow.
Pretty Gorgeous taking her time to
got
get
this.
past Shale. Pretty Gorgeous and Shale going into the final furlong.
comes
It's still
Thundering
Pretty
Beauty.
Gorgeous and Shale. Thundering Beauty's coming on the outside, but Shale looks like he's holding
Whoa.
Pretty Gorgeous. Shale is going to get the
they're going
verdict. Shale goes
Wow.
half a length clear, 3/4 of a length clear. Shale wins. Pretty Gorgeous is second. In third is Udanata, running on well with Thunder Beauty. But if you back Shale and Ryan Moore because you thought that the difference in price was too big, given one verdict each, you were correct. Well played.
She was still a little bit green, Pretty Gorgeous, when she came out. Do you agree with that out there? To my eyes, her head was running up a little bit. Could that have been the ground? As far as the ground, she was feeling it slightly. And have we got another love here? Take that last defeat out for Shale on the soft ground. If you get some decent ground, at Newmarket in the Guineas, Neil Hubbard, let's talk about her Guineas price after you tell us the story of the market.
Yeah, just waiting for that to come through. But you were quite early with your "this is all over," Dave. When she
I didn't
got
say
out.
this is all over.
I said
He's
something
had a shocker there, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has had a shocker. Yeah.
Let's not do the alternative.
Shale hit a high of 11 and Pretty Gorgeous a low of 1.15. So very short, 1.15.
Yeah. That has run well, Una Data, hasn't it? You're umming and ahhing.
I
Why?
backed Thunder Beauty to in top 4, and she just didn't quite get there.
Shale is 12s from 20s for the 1,000 guineas. Her dam won it, didn't she?
Homecoming Queen.
Homecoming Queen. She
Yeah,
won it by a
good
mile,
shout.
didn't
Yeah.
she?
Good shout.
She did.
This is another Donica top project, I think.
Yeah,
isn't
and
it? It's got
let's
the
just
fillies at the
remember, because
moment.
although these are familiar colours, this is Donica beating Joseph, isn't it? I mean, this is the changing of the guard. It's just incredible, isn't it? God, there was a lot of trouble there. Auntie Bridie got a real...
that was
That was with Pretty Gorgeous.
I think,
that was, I think,
they may reason that was a slight excuse, but she. What I liked about her, the reason why I thought she would take this out, you watch guys when she.
Pretty Gorgeous.
When the Fav, yeah. When the gap opens, I mean, Shell's got first run on them, hasn't she? They changed the tactics last time out on Pretty Gorgeous, and Shane Cross, of course, watching this from the weighing room, he is not. He's at home, of course, because he tested positive for COVID, asymptomatic, thankfully. He missed the ride on Galileo Chrome. This was one he was probably watching from behind the sofa, wasn't he? Thinking, I'm going to miss this one as well. She's had to fight to get the gap, but just here I thought, now, this is quite impressive, the way that she comes up. She's had that bump, Neil, and yet she's gone up head to head. I thought she was going to go on with it here. Maybe it is the ground.
Yeah, she hit 1.15, and you can sort of... I'm not saying you can see why she went that short. You can see why she went favourite, or a stronger favourite in the race. But I don't think she ever got ahead of Shale, though.
I think she might have just headed her personally. Okay. It's a difficult angle at the Curragh, isn't it? You can't get the side to side. She's outstayed her, basically. And she probably did. And it's a proper Ryan Moore ride, that, isn't it?
You say the ground, though. Pretty Gorgeous won on soft ground last time, didn't she? Beating her. And it was actually when Shale beat her before was on better ground, and this is better ground.
Una Data, who came up to have every chance, as Bruce said in commentary, finished fifth to them last time out, so it is that form. This is the form going forward that we're going to want to see. What did they do with Love after she won this last year? Did they put her into winter quarters? No, didn't.
No, did they? Oh, she had about another 15 runs.
Yeah, what did
they do
running
the Phillies Mile? She running the Phillies Mile?
Would it have been the Phillies Mile? I'll just have a little check of that. Let's have a look.
I'll tell you what, though, Neil. I mean, normally when they come closing and they go really, really short, I'm like, how could that be that short? But I just expected Pretty Gorgeous to go ahead and win. Yes. And I think it speaks volumes for Shale and how gutsy she is.
And it looks
she plugged on again. And as you said, Dave, really, really good ride. Ryan Moore at his best, his strongest, his most balanced.
Lots been said about him again in the last week or
two. I think the market was sort of weight, because Pretty Gorgeous was, as you said, was sort of tucked away a little bit, and she was behind her market rivals in Shale there. The market was sort of waiting for her to get out. And then as soon as she got out, the market sort of collapsed on her, because everyone just presumed it's almost formality because she's in the open. But Shale wasn't for passing, was she?
Fantastically bred, as you say, by Galileo out of Homecoming Queen. Was Homecoming Queen, did she win the Guineas that year when there was a massive hold-up in the stalls, wasn't there? Do you remember? I think one of the runners had a problem.
Something tells me she was a big prize.
She was 33s, and she'd run a
million... Did she just get on the front end and just went further away?
She'd run a million times at 2. Yeah. So,
and that's all she did, but she won the Guineas, but you know what I mean?
They don't mind running their fillies at all, do they? Love is obviously the case in point. She did go to the Phillies Mile, of course. She came unstuck behind Quadrilateral for something of a forgotten horse, and Powerful Breeze was in second that day. So, Newmarket looked like they might... I guess you go and test yourself on the dip, don't you? That's the way to do it. Homecoming Queen, I remember very well indeed. You're right, she did run a lot of 2 as well. So... beautifully bred. Interesting that Donica's got the fillies coming to the fore at the moment. Fancy Blue. You don't really think I can't think of many colts that he's got that are great waves at the minute. It could be an interesting thing. It's going
interesting
forward.
That she's not. I don't know. It's interesting that she's not massively short in the 1,000 guineas betting, like 12 to 1. You know what I mean?
She's uncomplicated though, isn't she? Which I quite like about her.
Did you say she's 12s?
Yeah.
Could you back her at 12s?
What's Fav?
I thought she might her at 12s.
That is
well,
what
I'm just saying
now.
That if Pretty Gorgeous had won, you'd imagine if you'd have then seen if Pretty Gorgeous had won that, if the placing was reversed.
Of course, it was Fav.
Pretty Gorgeous would have probably been
Pretty Gorgeous
8
gone out to
or something, wouldn't you? 14s. So she was pretty much the same price.
Is there anything going to happen if those two next week or in 3 weeks' time ran a Newmarket over a mile? Is there anything that's going to make Pretty Gorgeous get? She did have a bit of a traffic issue, but it's not enough.
The one thing that worries me about going in for the Guineas market at the moment, I could see that going to the Breeders' Cup. I really could. They love
Pretty Gorgeous.
They love to take their fillies.
Iridessa went there.
Iridessa did it, and I could see Shell going. I don't know whether Donica, that would be his bag this year or not, but. The Ballydoyle lot, they love to run their top fillies over there.
That's not a barrier to doing well next year, though.
No, it's
or do you
not
think they leave
at
it behind
all.
out there?
What worries me, and where is it this year, Neil?
Keeneland.
It's at Keeneland.
The ground can be ever so... Do you remember when Golden Horn got done by Found? It was some of the weirdest ground you've ever seen.
Autumn ground in Kentucky, isn't it? It's like west... Well, it's not east.
Have you ever been to Keeneland, Bruce? I haven't.
No, I've been to Kentucky, but not. I went for golf rather than for...
Ron Wood went out there, typically. Obviously it's a meet that our US expert... He said it's one of the strangest race courses
Really?
Very weird place to have it. But there's a big meet, obviously, of course, that goes on there. Wesley Ward dominates.
They've just announced it's
Well,
without
but you
fans
can get a
this
good
year,
horse
yeah.
beating over there. is what I
Without
mean.
fans.
Breeders' Cup this year has been announced.
Is it?
And then they've announced that they'll go back to Keeneland in 2 years' time. So, like with fans. So they're giving it back to them in 2 years, yeah.
It's so annoying, this no fans, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen all this fantastic action. I mean, you imagine what the noise would have been.
Warwick next, isn't it?
Warwick
on the 21st?
next to get blown out in the last minute. Who knows?
Well, we were just talking, I know we don't talk too much about other sport, but that Liverpool-Leeds game last night, if that would have been at Anfield packed, would have been something else, wouldn't it?
4-3. 4-3.
You have to stop beating yourself up about it, don't you? I mean,
it is what it is,
I've got used to watching football and enjoying it without the crowds, but you know, and to be fair with racing, you don't see the crowds generally when you're watching on TV.
Although I did
Loads of
watch
football fans watch this show, so let's just talk about it for a minute. I want to get Bruce's perspective on this. You know what? I watched the Watford game. Obviously, I'm a Watford fan. It was the first live game in the Championship on Friday night, and I started thinking to myself, I can. When it first happened, you were like, which players might prosper because the fans aren't on their back anymore? Which players might just improve a little bit, or which players like Troy Deeney's the classic of Watford needs a crowd. All the coaching staff will tell you that. But I started watching it, and I thought, when the crowds come back, this could really affect players, couldn't it? It really could.
Yeah.
And jockeys are kind of like that as well. You know, we had Ollie Cole last Saturday for the Sprint Cup, didn't we? We were saying, have you been able to really get stuck into a jockey because there's been no crowd around or anything like that? He says to do that sort of thing.
At last, lads, at last. I mean, I had that awful 15 minutes. I didn't back the King of the Sands horse. I got done on the line from
What's
the
happened?
fourth place. Leicester 3-0 up. I said Leicester, didn't I? So that's great news.
Who are they playing?
West Brom.
After how long?
Hopefully 9. No, yeah.
Baggies
It's
fans
almost all
out there,
over.
it's not going well.
Jamie Vardy, 2 pens. That's good.
Yeah, okay.
Back to winner.
Oh, yeah, you like Leicester, don't you?
I do like Leicester. Big fan.
I thought you were going to say you like backing winners.
I do.
You?
I forgot.
I hate backing winners. Can't stand
Yeah, I do
it.
actually, Dave. Yeah, big fan.
Okay. We've got social on the screen. Did I hear coming up? Oh no. Okay. No, the boys are still sifting through this. Do get them in. Keep coming. How's your Sunday going? Are you loving it out there? Have you seen another art winner in France, for example? Well, any ripples yet on the art market with Stradivarius? Still
Not
to
really,
come?
but we have had an interesting price come through, which means Barney Roy must have won in Germany.
In Germany, yeah.
Because he's 14s from 20s for the
That would
Champions
be
Stakes.
mad,
No, for the
wouldn't it?
Champions
Oh,
Stakes, sorry.
Yeah, but even can he win that?
And that Tarnawa, who won the Prix Vermeil, is 9-2 for the champion fillies and mares. But no
that
art
is
price.
almost a certainty to where he loves that meeting, doesn't he, Dermot Weld? He really targets it.
Has he won that before? It
Yeah.
rings a bell. But
What
I'm
was
not
the
sure.
day? He had a really good day when it rained that day. He took out the staying race, didn't he, under Pat Smullen and
Free Eagle win the Champions
Free Eagle. That's
that
right.
it? Yeah.
Free. Oh, some those Moyglare colours that he loves. But this is for the Aga Khan. And she did take that really, really nicely indeed. Yeah, we've got that to come, and we Champions Day at Ascot. I think we might. Is that a pilot? Because Newmarket, I got an email from Newmarket, like you probably did as well, from the Jockey Club Estate, that they actually marketed this future champions meeting or the Cambridgeshire meeting, saying, "Come along, come along."
Yeah, a friend in work's got a ticket. He asked me, "Am I going to the Cambridgeshire?"
And now
he's
there's
got
just
his
1,000 let in, aren't there?
So he doesn't know if he's doesn't know if he's the right side of the 1,000 to be potentially allowed to go or not.
Yeah.
But,
So it is a bit depressing, isn't it? But listen, that's not what we want to be doing on this show today. Let's raise the spirits a little bit. It's all about great sport. We've got the National Stakes coming up. Sizzling National Stakes. A word about Stradivarius, though, because I'm not going to be able to give him too much coverage. The winning machine that is Stradivarius. One thing that I noticed when I looked at his profile, it's good to soft, apparently, at Longchamp. Although with these French goings, you never quite know if it's good to soft. It usually means it's good. They hate giving good to firm.
just interestingly, just looking at the French. Sorry to interrupt you there, Dave. That Tarnawa, who won the Prix Vermeil, beat Cayenne Pepper on its last start, which seems like a pretty decent race.
Good bit of franking, yeah.
That's a pretty good race. So
she
whoever,
looked like she was backed in that race as well, at the Prix Vermeil as well.
And then who was third in that race?
Go on.
Passion. Who runs
in Irish
You like this, don't you?
I've backed it already.
Because you backed her for Arcent Ledger, didn't you? Which went terribly wrong, but these things have a
so
way
I
of
can't-
boomeranging back to you, don't
Yeah,
they?
so she'll be trying to complete the hat trick in terms of, mind you, she has already run since then and won.
Is
so
she
I
the
suppose-
only 3-year-old in the St.
Yeah,
Ledger?
she gets all like £12-13 in allowance,
And they've
which
obviously got
the winner did last year.
Tasty
of course, as
records,
well.
yes. I must admit, I looked at the 3 and thought, is she good enough? Does she want slightly softer ground? There is digging the ground.
So actually, the 3 from that
at the
race have all
Curragh.
won now, haven't they? Like Tanawa's gone out and won again, Cayenne Pepper's gone out and won again, and Passion went out and won her mile and 6 race before coming into it. So that's
So does Strab win?
Well, I mean, don't forget, Anthony van Dijk does have a verdict over him when they were behind Guyeth in the Coronation Cup at Newmarket.
He'd be one of your list if Anthony van Dijk wins, wouldn't he?
It will, yeah. The list will be done then. But if not, I'll be etching him on there eagerly.
Something wants me not to win, so we can keep notching them up.
I'm still not sure about Stradivarius at 1.5 miles, particularly as today. I don't think it'll be very strongly run.
So what does he do?
So he's
then?
1.88.
Does he kick on?
I suppose he probably does, doesn't he? Yeah.
He's just a monster, though, isn't he? He's just so good.
He's good, but
He's
like
so
I say,
good.
he was.
What do you make of Santiago yesterday in the Ledger, Bruce?
Pardon?
What do you make of Santiago? Frankie Dettori came out and said the ground might have been a bit too quick for him. He looked like he might win at one point.
He did look like he might win. Yeah, I put an in-running lay there at 2 because I thought he might come there and do it, and did get matched. Yeah, so that was decent. He's run okay, hasn't he? It's funny, isn't it, with Berkshire Rocco, who's been the kind of quiet yardstick all season, nearly coming along.
So deserves to win. Nice group race. Andrew Balding in the paper today said, "I'm not usually a shouter. I nearly lost my voice because again, these are the horses they want to see."
As you were saying, all these big races, like and then he beat Berkshire Rocco in the Queen's Vase, and then you talk about English King. Oh, he beat him in the Lincoln Derby Trial, and all the time, Berkshire Rocco's just sat there, sort of like, well, I'm all right myself.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. But I'm one thing going back to the race earlier in the Grand Prix de Paris. Surely now the next time the English King fan club meets, there won't be too many people there, will there? I mean, that's it for him now. Isn't
Tiny horse as well.
It's just the thing. You look back and he's won a listed race around Lingfield, which is that Lingfield Derby
that's
Trial.
basically
That's
so good that day, though, didn't it? But I guess that Aidan O'Brien was struggling to find a Derby favourite at that time, wasn't he? So a bit of a red herring English King was. Did you give him another chance today? Let us know. So Stradivarius, he's never won on good to soft officially. So that's something he needs to do, isn't it?
I don't. That wouldn't put me off one iota.
No,
I mean,
exactly.
I think he's the most ground.
He's one on firm and he's one on soft.
He doesn't matter.
But it was just the one thing that stood out to me today. I was like, oh, is that because he's a winning machine? I was like, sort of 4-3-2.
Well, we've covered loads of his races in here this year, and every time it's been. I think all of them have been on soft ground. And
Come
every
on,
time
Strad.
John Gosden's been like, oh, it's not on perfect ground. And every
it's
time we sit in here and go, this is perfect for him.
It's
today.
complete nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why the trainers.
Will
keep
we see him
having
next
these
year,
myths.
Stradivarius? What's your if you had to second guess?
No.
Yeah,
I would say no. And what else has he got to prove? You're probably just looking at a fantastic champion, slightly less good than he's been. So who wants to see that?
He was beaten in the St Ledger, of course, wasn't he? That great St Ledger. And then he went on to be the cup horse. So who could it be? Galileo Chrome, the cup horse next year? Off the bridle a long way out, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Could be Santiago.
The cup division needs a king, doesn't it? And Stradivarius is that. Will his price contract for the art? We think he'll probably win. Good luck, Strad, John Gosden and Frankie Dettori over there. Shall we concentrate on the national stakes now? 4:10 then coming up. We're really getting through this. We've got 2 races left actually on this show. Sticking with the Curragh now. Just happens to be 2 Group 1s, don't worry about that. And Neil Hubbard, show us the market. A Lucky Vega, to me, looks like he's contracting all the time at the top.
Yeah, Lucky Vega is now clear favourite, really, 2-1. So 3.05 ahead of Master of the Seas, 3.55. Thunder Moon, 9.6. St Mark's Basilica, 11. And it's 20s or bigger the rest. Lucky Vega probably, I thought he should have a bit of clear water between him and the big 2, as it was with Battleground. It looks more like, I know Battleground's come out, but it looks a bit more like the market that I'd expect it to look like. That's not to say I'm anti-Master of the Seas, but I just felt Lucky Vega probably deserved solitary favouritism.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I mean, it's funny with Master of the Seas and with Battleground that they the kind of yardstick we were using there was Devious Company, wasn't it? And you were thinking, well, that's decent because he ran a really good race. He was really unlucky, I think, at York where he blew the start and came storming through. But since then, he's completely bombed out. Now, I was kind of letting that diminish my admiration for Master of the Seas and Battleground, but it's pretty dangerous to do that because Devious Company was probably better then. So,
correct.
So that you shouldn't let. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you shouldn't let that
really
do it.
At the start.
Yeah,
just because the dust has gone off it. And let's face it, this is the race where they're now running their best colt, isn't it? Quarto in 2018, the sadly ill-fated Quarto.
That's so sad, by the way, with Quarto that we never got to see him as an old horse. He was such a good.
They were readying him, weren't they, as well?
Oh my God, he was good.
Yeah, he was absolutely amazing. Yeah, like you say, absolutely tragic. And Pinatubo last year, of course, as well. Graham Rodway on Friday said Pinatubo will never be beaten again after his run in France in the Prix de Moulin. He's that strong on it. He thought he got an ill-judged ride.
Where are they going to go next with him then?
I must admit,
QE2?
when I looked at that Pinatubo run, I thought that was his best run of the season.
That's what
I thought it was an incredible run because it all went wrong.
And
the
if
race
anything, from a
completely
market point
fell
of view,
apart.
now's maybe the time to be getting on this horse, isn't it? Because public, disappointed in the guineas, backable, went and won in France again last time, short price once again, and now he's become something of not sales, but there was definite mitigation there.
You can't say he's never going to get beaten again because I think
He was
Palace
just
Pier,
that bullish.
if he
you know.
runs against Palace
You know what
Pier,
G's
he'll lose,
like.
won't he?
Yeah, you think Palace Pier would do him?
Palace Pier would do him, yeah. But you know, on this day last year, when Pinatubo won that race by 9 lengths or whatever, you thought, Christ, we have just seen the new Frankel. It was the most astonishing 2-year-old victory I'd ever seen in my life. It was absolutely incredible. Yeah. And he wasn't that brilliant. He's never been the same since. That's the bottom line. But he's still got a really high-class level of form.
That's the thing. I think because of what he did last year, everyone obviously has this expectation of him for this year, and that's fine. And then you look at it and you think, oh, he hasn't won, whatever. But then you take a step back and look at what he's done.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a really good horse,
if his
isn't he?
2-year-old career had been a little race at Nottingham or Wolverhampton, and then he'd come out and done what he'd done, you'd say, Christ, this horse is brilliant.
If he won a
isn't he?
maiden and then won a Group 3 like back end, and put him away for the winter and come back, and then he's being placed in Guinea, St James's Palace, all of these.
The
You're
Shrewdies
he's a real
out there
good
that
horse.
took Pinatubo on, Paul Keeley being one of them, a few boys in the analysis department that I work with, they said he just ran too many times at 2. The Guineas winners don't usually run that many times. They sort of leave it behind a little bit. And of course, he made his debut at Wolverhampton. We know all about that. Was he one of the most unlucky horses of the season with lockdown? In that if the Guineas had been run in April, they haven't developed quite so much yet. Was it one of those? Because they say it's the last 2-year-old race of the previous season.
Was it a month later?
It was a month later. I don't
know.
I don't think so.
Because Palace Pier might well have been running in that Guineas because they'd gone to the green.
Exactly. If they'd had time to get him, So I'm not sure about that. Look, he's a really nice 3-year-old. He was an absolutely awesome.
Remember when we called Palace Pier at Newcastle in the handicap? I mean, you knew, didn't you? I wasn't far behind.
I was so impressed with
and
him.
that call when we got to Royal Ascot, we were absolutely buzzing.
The thing is, though, with the way the season has worked out, you could let's hypothetically, Pinatubo was disadvantaged by it, and he could have won the Guineas. But with Palace Pier, maybe having that month delay is actually a good thing for him because he swam in much calmer waters in that handicap and allowed them to perhaps be, he wasn't forced by having to run in a green to get him ready for a Guineas. So, if it's good for one, it's bad for another. But it's, they're two really good milers.
The QE2 awaits next month on Champions Day. Let's hope they all make it there. Will we see another calibre of horse come out of this year's National Stakes? Neil Hubbard, time to play.
Yeah,
we need to come back, don't we, after that pretty gorgeous defeat?
It is, but Lucky Vega is the right favourite in here now and is more the price that I was expecting. I think he is probably the most likely winner, but I'm not convinced that I want to weigh in with him necessarily. It's not a race I'm confident about, is what I'm saying, really.
Yeah, OK, go on. Come on, so what are we doing?
The floors.
Open the floor.
Yeah, really.
Bruce Millington.
Because,
I'd go with Lucky Vega.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would. I'd go with Lucky Vega. I trust him. I think, I'm prepared to see Master of the Seas beat him, but I think that run last time was just so electrifying that I'm happy to back the favourite here.
The 7th furlong is interesting for him, isn't it? Because he obviously does have an explosive turn of foot. Bang was the adjective that we used earlier. If you're looking at his pedigree, there's a lot of sprinters in there that I'm looking at. Dan was unraced, but it's a German family, Group Mile 2. He's by Lope de Vega. The ground should be absolutely perfect for him. I think it'll be fine. Kev Morley's put him up as his trends pick
Well, we're
today.
quite happy to go in with, I'm saying he's the most likely winner, so I'm happy to side with him. Yeah.
Tom Segal's also.
Is he a tick for you then as well, then, Dave?
I now think that I was with Battleground. Unlike Bruce, I think that we've still yet to see. I think he's a 3-year-old running against 2-year-olds Battleground, and he doesn't do that much, I think. But I think Lucky Vega will take some beating if Shane Foley can get a bit of cover from stall 7. However, there is a whoever there. The one that I actually don't like, Barry Orr was really keen on Master of the Season when we were chatting to him. Was give us a winner,
to joint
Barry.
favourites now, to be honest. They're both getting to 9-4.
And I don't know, he goes on fast ground, he goes on soft ground, but stall 9 for Will Buick will be tough. The one that I really like, and I'm with Tom Segal on this, the only thing that is against him is inexperience. There's been no once-raced winners of this race, as far as I could find. Thunder Moon, who blew up the clock when winning on his debut for Joe O'Brien. What was it? Over course and distance, was it last month? And that race has
I
worked
think
out
he's been
particularly well.
supplemented for this, I think.
He beat a very good yardstick in Colour Rouge, who's finished. I mean, he's absolutely hosed up. He was in those Anne-Marie O'Brien colours. She's now gone to the Gonzalo colours that Joe's done so well with. But the 7th has won a group race. New Treasure. It was a good race, I think, and it would be very interesting to see from stall 1 what Declan McDonough does, especially coming in off that defeat. They're obviously very confident with pretty gorgeous there. O'Brien, Joseph O'Brien.
Joseph.
Do I call him Joe?
Joed him. You Joed him a couple of times. How
I've had a shocker.
How well do you have to know him to be able to call him Joe?
That's a good question, isn't it?
I didn't even know if he said Joey.
No, Joe.
I didn't say Joey.
Joe. Yeah,
Keith
obviously
Melrose,
mates.
Keith Melrose did a willy the other day with
I
Haggis.
did with Haggis, yeah.
I was like, ooh, he's a journalist
No,
as
you
well.
can't do that.
Ollie Cole did it, didn't he?
He
But
did.
he's-
I was
gonna say he was
he's
a
Well,
he's
they're
a
in the game.
contemporary.
He'd be allowed to. He'd be
Oh,
allowed.
yeah,
I remember
definitely.
when I used to cover, believe it or not, in the past, coursing. You know,
Right,
greyhound.
okay.
It's
Some like
basically ground
Prescott's
racing
thing,
in this
yeah.
field. Yeah, he's in the story.
Oh, right.
And so I went to the Waterloo Cup in this kind of weird wasteland, hinterland behind somewhere in
Basically, the
Merseyside.
Guy Ritchie film, didn't it?
And basically, it's mad. You all stand there, it's freezing cold, and you wait for ages, and all of a sudden you hear these blokes go, hare in, hare in, and there's guys out in the field beating these hares out of the field, and they come running past, and then they let them go, and they go running anyway. Anyway, there was a legendary Irish greyhound journalist called John Martin, and he said that he'd been speaking to Prescott, because Prescott organised it.
Yeah.
He was massive, and I said, do you have to call him Sir Mark or
Right.
Mark? Because I had to speak to Prescott later. And he said, well, you do have to call him Sir Mark, but he said to me a couple of years ago, you can dispense with the Sir. And I said,
What a brilliant pronunciation of Sir.
well, yeah, I didn't know what he meant. Like a hack sauce. I go, I just call him Mark now. I don't call the Sir.
What did you end up calling him?
I called him Sir Mark.
You
but-
went with the easy option.
But the worst thing is, I rang him up, and he was having his afternoon kip, and he had the rhyme. So that was where I first kind of got
Had to
the
put the
idea
cigar
that
out,
you
did
don't
he?
mess with Sir Mark
Yeah.
Prescott. And I've never been able to dispense with the Sir.
You've kept the Sir up. I will remember that one. Right, we need to get the bet on. Lucky Vega then. Is there an angle in on Thunder Moon? I want one.
Well, you've got 3 places, 2 places, 4 places.
Yeah.
Thunder Moon's about even money, 4 places.
Okay.
Master of the Seas, Fav now.
Yeah.
Did you say even money top 4 for Thunder and Moon?
Yeah, 1.96. It just
Yeah,
slightly.
that for me is a play, Neil.
Yeah?
I think. Yeah, from stall 1. If he could just.
So we split our 50
the
quid
way
then
that
and
he
back
went
in
through
4
the gap,
places
it's
and
just
then
poetry in motion for me.
Yeah, go on.
and then Lucky Vega win. Okay.
I'll tell you what, it's very tempting in a race like this to look at some outsiders, some unfancied horses.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
if
wasted
you-
my morning doing
If
that.
you
yeah.
if you look at the roll of honour here, you look at the 10-year trends table here.
Yeah.
Only good horses need a play.
Fav,
The
fav, fav.
the record of the Favs is absolutely blistering. Honestly,
Should we mention some? We got.
Max Swinney was one because he beat Cadillac.
Dawn
on his
Approach,
last
Tormore,
start.
Glen Eagles, Air Force Blue, Churchill, Verbal Dexterity, Corto and Pinner too. But let's get some socials. We'll go back to Neil. Good to have you on board. Who's in? Andy Sims says, go on, Master of the Seas for the boys in blue. And Frizzy Red coming back on. I've got some Mark's Basilica each way for this. I mean, I must admit, I hovered over him when I was looking. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, it's taken time to come good, isn't he, that chap? But the one in his form, it's just...
Cost
it's
a
worked
pretty
out
penny as well.
What happened behind Lucky Vega? I guess 2 runs back at August, he was well beaten, albeit in the Phoenix stage. Does he want this trip? Maybe that's what you're.
He's
thinking.
gone off favourite. He's interesting, isn't he? Because he got beat on his debut when he was sent off favourite, and then he stepped straight up into Group 1 company despite having been beaten on his debut, and was sent off favourite in a Group 1, and was beaten. And then he went to his maiden and won his maiden next time as a favourite again. But he hit 490 in running that day, St Mark's Basilica, before he won.
I was a huge fan of his dam.
But he cost
Cabaret.
Cost
She was a
1.3
serious
million.
2-year-old. Did he?
1.3 million, yeah.
That's interesting.
Did you think military style could run quite well here for Aidan? I just thought that win last time was reasonable here. I mean, it's only a Group 3, it is a step up, but I just thought if there's one at a price, it might be that.
He's a likely pace angle. He'll get from stall 2. I imagine he might be, because he made all last time, didn't he?
Yeah, I just
it's
thought
easier
his
to do that
third
at
was just a bit of
Leopardstown.
a blip. It was 4-9, so it was just
Mason was hitting that line hard behind him. You like Max Swinney as well at a price, didn't you? You mentioned him for Jim Bolger, Verbal Dexterity's trainer, Dawn Approach.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of an obvious sort of form line, perhaps a bit of an easy one. But on his last start, he won the Futurity Stakes and he beat Cadillac that day, who came out yesterday and won a Group 2 as easy as you like and is single figures for Breeders' Cup juveniles and close to being single figures for a Guineas as well. And Max Sweeney beat him pretty much on merit.
Yeah, he's
on
a
his
proper
last
little
start.
horse, isn't he? Cadillac. That was the ground maybe in his favour, slightly quicker ground, isn't it?
We're just trying to make a case for some.
Well, the horses that have won that Futurity Stakes the last couple of years, Anthony Van Dyke won it, Armory won it, of course, when Armory chased home Pinatubo in the race last year. Churchill had won it, Glen Eagles had won it, he came and won this race, so it is a well-known stepping stone. He does look slightly overpriced in my eyes.
No doubt now about who's going to go off favourite, I don't think, Neil.
No, let's have a...
Master of the Seas.
We're having a flipper.
Yeah,
definitely.
Wow, why the
Master of the
drift
Seas
on Lucky
really
Vega
solid.
then?
Lucky Vega's at 3.6.
They're walking around in the Praving, just about to make their way onto track.
Thunder Moon's being backed, actually. Single figures now, Thunder Moon. Did we say he was like 19 or something?
No. He's always been fairly short, to be fair.
Sorry,
I
Tom
think
put him up,
was
didn't
that
he?
Thunder one in the last...
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Sorry.
Does with the exchanges, when it comes to Tom's picks, Tom Siegel and Price, they're always going to crash early, aren't they? As soon as he comes out, people get involved. Do we then tend to see the spike going out a little bit?
A little bit. It's the same with a lot of tipsters in a way. So, there's some well-knowns like Hugh Taylor, for example. As soon as he puts up someone, it's going to be back because everyone wants the price.
Yeah.
But then ultimately, when all the money comes into the exchange, quite late on, the horse is still, there's a lot of big players out there who will have their own view of the horse as well. Yeah. And it's not saying that that they think Hugh Taylor's wrong as such, or price-wise is wrong. Let's say Tom Siegel puts one up at 10 to 1 and he gets smashed into 5. Maybe the true price is 7s. And it might just go out there. They will very rarely go back out to the same price they were, but they'll just ease a little bit.
And also, you've got to remember that there's a massive change in the whole price-wise sort of schedule these days. Because when Tom was absolutely knocking it out of the park week after week after week, and I'm not trying to suggest he's gone at the game or anything, but the point was that back in the day, he had that grid of prices the night before, and no one was betting.
Yes,
no one. So at 9 a.m. when the morning line came on, after he put his tips up, that's when the market started.
Yeah.
So you've got all these beautiful kind of rosy bits of fruit to
like
pick
a different
off.
world now.
It's a
isn't
totally
it?
different world now. Don't forget all the races he's tipping on. They've been alive since Monday generally, or certainly Thursday when they've finally been declared.
Of course.
So Tom kind of fits into a different cadence now. It used to be price-wise was the starting gun for the betting on all these races. Now it's just something that is factored into the lifespan of a race market.
It's worth bearing in mind as well that those tips are available 8 p.m. the night before as well. So it's not even first thing Saturday morning either.
What a pleasure that must have been to be steering the ship when he was going on those rolls.
That was before my because the overnight betting has been going a lot longer than you think, to be honest.
How long has it been? I would say 3 years.
No. People have been getting restricted for having Schneidy bets the night before for probably 10, 12 years now, I would say.
Well, really?
Yeah, definitely,
wow.
Honestly. Because you think, it's probably 10 years, 20 years ago, what was it called? Love Bet. Do you remember Love Bet? Were the first ones to come along and bet on the morning of races.
Yeah.
You didn't even have day of race, morning of race betting. It's changed so much.
I remember Tom Siegel that he was on fire in the summer one year.
He had that incredible
racing
summer.
Remarkable summer. There was a racing post front page with
the
sunset on it.
That could be 2004, 2005.
So that was just before your editorial time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
that's how I'd have said it was. Yeah,
not long after I joined the paper.
Noughties, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He's just been a great tipster throughout. There's no two ways about it. He showed it again yesterday, just absolutely outstanding. But it's a different game now, and he'd be the first to admit it. It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder because the Shrewdies have got to the wrong prices before he's had a chance to.
Yeah, it is a bit annoying that, isn't it? I don't know, are you a punter that likes to hover over these evening markets as soon as they come up? Because let's face it, odds compiling is not perhaps the art it used to be, and there are ricks out there, mistakes are out there, aren't they? Or do you, like me, are you like one of those that just likes to let the market form itself and then play when you can home in? I like to have a look at the horses down at the start as well. They are down there at the moment. I'll tell you, Max Sweeney does catch the eye, doesn't he? Nice chestnut. Maybe he could be the fly in the ointment here for a firm that have won this race time and time again. So, favouritism, Neil. Definitely master of the seas now?
Well, yes, it is, but it's not definite that he will be come the off. He's 3.2, Lucky Vega 3.4. So, master of the seas did go clear favourite, but they're getting a little bit closer now. And then
our social runner looks like he's coming a bit to me. St Mark's Basilica as well.
Yeah, 11.5, Thunder Moon 10. Max Sweeney, we mentioned there, is 30. And then the Judgment horse, Mason, is a little bit interesting as well. He's one of those ones that could suck you in a little bit as well.
Again, you could make a case for him, couldn't you? Because he was inexperienced last time. He hit the line pretty hard. I thought he was going to get second. He just didn't quite get it. It slightly disappointed me in that.
I just thought he took a while to sort of get organised a little bit. And then he, as you said, he hit the line quite hard. He was being less than a length as well. And he spotted the winner, I don't know, 3 or 4 lengths that day as well, turning in.
Oh, yeah. So, it definitely wasn't one to suit.
He's definitely one to...
Deep price, chaps, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Law of Indices obviously has beaten Lucky Vega. But, you know, that got reversed in no uncertain terms the next time out. But, you know, it's one of those ones where if you look back and Law of Indices has won, you go, well, he did beat the favourite last time.
It's one of those ones when he goes and wins, you go, Well, a bit like Shale and Pretty Gorgeous.
He just got the run on him, didn't he, when he beat Lucky Vega that time. Right, last couple going in then. Good luck for the National Stakes, penultimate race of the week here on RP Live. Don't forget to like that stream if you're watching on YouTube. Let us know. Give us your feedback. We love to read it below. You can do that Facebook Live as well. Welcome along. Great scenes, unbelievable scenes we've had so far this weekend. I've got a feeling something special is still going to happen. We'd love to see something go and win by a couple of lengths.
I'll tell you what has just won. A Derby winner, Anthony Van Dyke.
No way.
Oh, no.
No way, Bruce, the stat.
The stat is done.
The stat's done.
I can forget about it now.
Unbelievable.
I'm pleased. It was good while it lasted.
OK, we're off any second now. Bruce Millington, call home the 2020 National Stakes.
Here we go then. This is going to be absolutely brilliant. Rearing up there is Mason. Wow, he's got his front paws. He's got his front hooves over the gate, and that's a real problem. The stalls handers are straight, and those guys are fearless, and they've got him under control. It looks like Colin Keane is going to get back on the white flag raised, as they always say at the start of every Irish race. No, I'm not going to do it.
It's been a while.
I'm not going to do a Desi, but no, seriously, they need to get this. Hopefully, it's going to be all right. Brilliant work by the stalls handers. They've jumped in there, but that's an anxious moment there for the Lions trained Mason.
Everything else is sitting still at the moment.
Yeah, it hasn't had that kind of ripple effect where the neighbours have got very flustered. Are they having him out the back? They are indeed. So we're going to be going without. No, they'll go without, won't they?
Yeah, is it too late, do you think? Yeah,
I think it is, that's a real shame for that one.
Just like with Siskin in the middle.
So that leaves 9 runners. I presume they're going without, although the fact that they're showing him on the telly, they're trotting him up. I think he might be going back in. They're just going to make sure he's okay, because basically he reared up and his front hooves went over the stalls momentarily. He didn't break through it. If you break through the stalls...
I'm glad they're giving him a chance, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, as long as he's okay. That's exactly right. I mean, it looks like he's all right. So anyway, that's going to cause a short delay. And if you're a jockey sitting in the stalls at this time, you're like, oh my God, I don't need this. Because they were literally about to jump, weren't they?
When we had Stevie Donohoe in the show during Goodwood Week, he was like, we're all screaming at each other at this point. There's a lot of effing and jeffing going on. I think.
Anyway, they've loaded him back in, and the stalls handler's gone on to make sure he's okay, and he is okay.
And he's leading.
The last one to bounce out is Wembley. That one is bringing up the rear. As we are off and running, and I think it's Military Style has grabbed the lead early on from Mason, who didn't settle in the stalls and hasn't settled out of the stalls either. Charterhouse. That is in third, and coming up on the outside is Max Sweeney in the iconic Bolger colours. Going along all right on the inside is Thunder Moon. Where are the two fancy
Master of
runners?
Caught wide, tracking Max Sweeney.
Absolutely, and
Lucky Vega just inside him.
He's just inside of him. What's happening with the market? They don't like Master of the Seas, do they?
No, Military Style is single figures now, so they like that. Master of the Seas is out to 4-1. Lucky Vega 2-1. Thunder Moon 6-1.
Yeah, he's going really, really well. He's got the posse at this point. He will need the run, and Military Style Bruce just starting to get the hurry up.
Yeah, still going well on the outside is Charterhouse,
Mason's
and in between runs, Mason is now
Thunder
taking it
Moon's
up, and he's going
cruising.
really, really well. Where is Lucky Vega? He's in a pocket.
Come on.
Master of the Seas is being chased along. Coming down the outside is St Mark's Basilica.
They're
the favourite's in all sorts of trouble. Lucky Vega can't win.
No run.
Lucky Vega has got no run whatsoever. It is Master of the Seas coming down the outside.
He's unlucky,
being tracked
Thunder
by
Moon,
St
I'll
Mark's
tell you.
Basilica.
Come on,
Thunder.
Master of
Come
the
on,
Seas.
Thunder, this is
On the
special.
inside is
Come
Thunder
on,
Moon.
Thunder.
Thunder Moon for Joe O'Brien.
Woo.
Thunder Moon wins it. St Mark's Basilica. No, he's
Vega.
not second. Wembley's second, isn't he?
I tell you what.
Wembley's come from out the outside.
Wow.
That's incredible. I mean, I don't know what I've just seen. The race changed so much. So much happened there. My goodness me. The favourite got no run. Master of the Seas looked like he was going to win. Thunder Moon's come. It was a great run from St Mark's
We have just
Basilica.
seen something really, really special there, Bruce. You're flabbergasted, but watch this back. Your replays. Oh, my Lord. I'm thinking we have got a special one. Why? No once race maiden winners come and taken this out. I looked for years and years, couldn't find one. They've all got 111s next to their name. He's got absolutely mullered in the run. He was in stall
nearly
one.
come down, didn't he?
Look
Yeah,
at
that
this.
was
Oh my goodness.
He's got.
Yeah.
I mean, it hasn't done Lucky Vega many favours at all. But this should be over. Master of the Seas is gone, and this is a horse that brought the form into it nearly fav. Woo!
My
To quicken
goodness,
like that.
man.
Lucky Vega he's unlucky not to have had a say. I don't think he would never have beaten
He
this
ran
winner.
quite well, actually.
Lucky Vegas
Vega.
run really, really
He
well. But
has.
the winner is absolutely
That is
something
a
else.
tonker, I
That's
tell you.
astonishing.
That is a superb effort. Were you with Tom Siegel? I jumped on. Happy days. Battleground came out. That was the story of the race. Mason then got... it was a bit of a nightmare for Mason, wasn't it?
He ran
got
a nice race for a long way, didn't he?
He did, because the plan was definitely not to lead with him. He's just...
He got
Colin
lit
Keynes
up
had no
leading the
choice
stalls,
whatsoever.
didn't he? Yeah.
Let's concentrate on some of the fancied runners then. A Master of the Seas, I guess you'd give him another length in the fact he's caught on the outside. He didn't get that much cover, Will Buick, not having the day so far he wanted. He was a little bit lit up. Lucky Vega at this point, Bruce, has got the lovely cover. You're just thinking, where's the run? But all the while, my eye is drawn. Look at the winner from here. We're watching it on the screens. We can see a little bit of thing here. He's absolutely cruising. This is what he did on his
but then
debut.
the trouble is he's got to come off the rail. He's cruising. He's penned in on the fence.
Unquestionably the best 2-year-old colt in training. By a mile, a country mile. This is sensational.
This was a horror show for Colin Keane. I mean, he's just got nowhere whatsoever to go. Buick's done the right thing, stayed wide, and Master of the Sea gets the run and looks like he's going to win it.
Lucky Vega's been buffeted about
Wembley's
like a bumper
ridden
car.
Wembley's run an
huge-
amazing race because
ran a
he's
race.
had to come really wide late as well, and he's actually snatched second. That run
Yeah.
from Wembley's incredible, honestly.
St Mark's Basilica's run well, hasn't it?
You
for our
need to
social
watch this
comment
race
on there.
about 1,000 times,
Yeah.
don't you? I mean, there's so much.
It reminds me of the
happened.
Irish Guineas a little bit, doesn't it? Where there
Yeah,
was a lot of trouble
absolutely,
there.
yeah, absolutely.
And Siskin, of course, got out. But listen, let me tell you, that was sensational. Were you with him? Are we looking at the next 2,000 guineas winner? In my mind, if all being well, game over. Neil Hubbard, what's his price? What was the market saying through that? Crazy, carnage.
Predictably, he hit 65 in running. And I think that's... Because he nearly comes down, doesn't
We're
he?
looking at the head on
St
now
Mark's
on the screen.
Basilica has also that got a terrible bump. There's more hard luck stories than my punting career. This is incredible. Look at Wembley.
Yeah.
The Wembley way is certainly not straight in this instance.
Master of the
He's come
Seas
really
hit
wide.
1.14 in running.
So you couldn't say there were really any disappointments there, could you? Listen, because you can't call
Yeah,
Lucky...
Master of the Seas.
Well, do you think so?
Yeah.
I mean, really, what? Because
Yeah,
he had
'cause
every
he's had a
single
clear
chance.
run
Do you
and
think he's
everything
that
was
good? Do you really think he's that good, though?
Well,
did you?
no, not
I think
now.
he's run his race.
Well,
I can't say he's disappointed.
Well, in so much as he's favourite for it, in so much as he's had every chance, he's hit the front and gone to 1.14, and everything else he's having to dance its way
Shall I
round.
tell you what is really rare that we're seeing on the screen as well? Declan McDonough very rarely celebrates physically on a horse after he's won. Even when he had that absolute pearl of a year, he wasn't. He doesn't do it, and he got him out of trouble there. I think the horse. Declan didn't really have much way to go, but as a jockey, look at your members club later for the quotes coming in from Declan McDonough. I can't wait to read them. He's going to get off that horse now and say, whoa.
I just think it's a really interesting... Like, you have to go back and watch this 3 or 4 times at least here, because you've now got a pecking order here as well, because horses like Wembley wouldn't have been on anyone's radar here. So then you have to look, is it a... is
So
that
Mars
just a
Basilica's
one-off?
run well for me as well.
Yeah.
I think these O'Brien horses...
And
just
he's
'cause
always been well backed, as we touched
Yeah.
on before. So he's obviously thought, right then, what do we make of... The prices come in for Thunder
on.
Moon for the Guineas. I actually think this is almost backable. 8 to 1.
8-1!
I thought he might be like
Hang on, you
5s or
talk.
4s, something like that.
Let's see if I can actually get on.
I thought it'd be a little bit shorter than that.
Yeah. Who's Fav? He is.
8
8-1.
Yeah,
Has
well,
to
I've
be,
just,
doesn't he?
he is on the exchange. Yeah, well, on the exchange now he's into 6.
8-1.
Cool, that was a mad
Get on.
race, that wasn't it?
Yeah.
Battleground, second favourite.
So
Yeah.
can anything reverse form and with a clear run?
Yeah,
all
Lucky
being well?
Vega
You think he can?
possibly. But mate, don't be Lucky Vega's run 4 times now. Your one's run twice.
And that was the problem with him, the inexperience from stall 1. I mean, wow. Tom Siegel does a roundup, doesn't he, in the paper now? He does the Ultimate Daily as well. He's going to be talking about that one. Watch out in your weekenders. Paul Keeley will be waxing lyrical about this, I'm sure. I'm certainly going to do it. I have absolutely just seen a superstar performance. Where will they go with this chap now?
What's
is
the
it going to be
breeding?
Dewhurst?
You're the breeding expert. Zoffany Colt out of Small Sacrifice.
Don't really notice the dam too much. Don't forget he started in Anne-Marie's colours, but that is out of the Sadler's Wells mare. Zoffany, the Prodigy, like a bit of cut underneath. Let's have a little look at it. Look, you are potentially looking at a Derby horse. You know, there's mile 4 winners in the pedigree. The Dam, it's mile 2 everywhere. This is something. Let's hope this just stays in one piece, because I don't think I'm.
It was a great run, wasn't it?
I mean, I don't want to go overboard about this, but
it was just that final
just think
furlong when he just took off.
What happens when you do go overboard?
You don't want to see that. You don't want to see that. Come see me at a Watford game. But yeah, no, listen. I genuinely think we've seen one there. Zoffany could do with a classic winner, that's for sure. He's developed into a really solid for County Tipperary operation. And like I say, he do like a bit of cut underfoot. But if he goes to the Dewhurst now, he'll win that. And we are looking at a Pinatubo. And unlike Pinatubo, this chap's only just getting going.
He is entered in everything. He's entered in the Royal Lodge. You got the Beresford and then the Dewhurst.
He won't go to the Beresford, I don't think. Sometimes they can get a little bit bogged down in that. Are the Verton Futurity out yet?
I don't.
We are covering that show, just to let you know. At Doncaster, we're going to be back on the town more for that before we switch.
Well, he won't go to the Royal Lodge now because that's a Group 2, so he'd carry a penalty presumably in that. And so's the Beresford, to be fair.
What do the boys in the gallery think? Is that the Guineas winner, Rob, Dan and Elliot? Already backed it, they're on, they're getting on.
Do you know what? Sometimes you get horse races, and I've noticed now, I think particularly on Sky, they get old Jamie Lynch to stand in front of the old
teleprompter.
Thing, like Gary Neville does.
Yeah.
And you feel a bit sorry for him, because basically it's a bunch of horses have gone from A to B and nothing much happens. But a race like that, you could analyse that all day, couldn't you? There are so many interesting angles and so many hard luck stories. Honestly,
it'll be Angus McNay and someone else doing it next week.
When you looked at the head-on, St Mark's Basilica early in the straight gets a massive bump off Master of the Seas. Wembley has to come.
I need to watch that back. Obviously, I backed the winner and I was just looking at it.
It's interesting as well, because you see all the trouble that's gone on in the race, or hard luck stories, whatever you want to call it. And you've got to bear in mind that jockeys here are making split-second decisions. And when you look at it head-on, Military Style has come up the rail, and there's actually a load of space there.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if Lucky Vega, obviously, you have to make a decision, and he's elected to go left and almost into horses to force his way, we're never going to know, but you sit and go right, and there's almost a dream highway. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that you can't just look at a race and then think, he probably was the best horse in it, the winner. But what I'm saying is, the question was, are there grounds for thinking others could reverse it? Well, there are reasons for thinking they could run better than where they have finished, isn't there? Because of those split-second decisions and the general rough nature of it. And Dave, when you're saying it was a bit like the Irish 2,000 Guineas, I think that's probably a fair sort of comparison in terms of the type of race it was.
Yeah. I'm talking of. Can I just give a big shout, by the way, to Vatican City, who I fell in love with because he was so unlucky there, and he ran really well yesterday, didn't he? He finished third. He ran a really good race. So I wouldn't give up on Vatican City. Yeah, I think he's a good horse.
That's interesting.
But that race there was, it was one of the most intriguing 2-year-old races I've seen in many a year.
It was billed as the best 2-year-old race of the season. It hasn't disappointed us, despite the fact there were trouble.
But the beauty is you've got a great performance, but you've also got the intrigue of what might have happened. Yeah. Not least with Battleground, of course, because don't forget, if there's a big jostling match, Battleground is twice the size of the rest of them.
It's interesting though as well, because the second and third are Aidan O'Brien, so they're going to have a right line through the winner. They probably do because it's father and son anyway, but the point being is the two that have finished second and third are in the same stable as Battleground, so they're like, okay, well, even if you say the winner is value for, say, argument's sake, 2 lengths more if he had a clearer run. For argument's sake, though, but Aidan O'Brien and that can be like, well, Battleground does X, Y and Z to these horses.
My phone's gone mental after that, by the way. That's what I was just looking down there. I've got some colleagues that are texting as well. And Stephen Edwards, who I often say is probably the best judge I've ever come across, he says, very impressive, proper horse. Adam Ryan says, get in about Glass Slippers. Definitely back to France we go. So that's where she'll be going.
I'll just give you Small Sacrifice's previous progeny. So she is the mum of Thunder Moon. Jacques Hogor, who was also trained by Joseph and has won 4 from 22. And Anticipation of Aidan's. Anticipation, obviously, is.
But they start in these colours because seemingly, I don't know, they're not that attractive, are they? But didn't Fancy Blue start in those colours?
Did she?
I can't. They've had loads of good horses in the Anne-Marie. You know, the
And those
Crowley
orange-
legacy,
well,
isn't
those
it?
orange and blue.
Yeah,
colours,
they have. You know, you often see them winning sequences at Dundalk and things, but listen, they have done it, and the Gonzalez colours is iridescent. Would they be thinking about the Breeders' Cup potentially?
I don't think so.
Keep this one under wraps.
Dewhurst and put
It
him
was
away and
massively impressive. That I think if you're Richard Hannon and you're watching that, if you're Jesse
put him away and don't go near him.
Harrington
And
with,
just hope he's fine.
Have you just backed that for the Guineas?
I have, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
8-1.
8-1, and I'm thinking about taking some 7s now because most of that 8-1's going to go. I think. Yeah,
Do you know,
that's the first anti-post Guineas bet I've had, by the way, in years.
I just can't. What are we? September, and it's in May.
I just think this will go. If it just all goes well, Bruce, and if it wins the if it wins the Dewhurst,
It'll be half that again.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
it's just one of those. You
could wake up on the morning. You could wake up on the morning of the Guineas with 8-1 about an even
Have
money
we
shot,
seen
couldn't
2
you?
classic winners today? In Shale and
Yeah, we could easily have done.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
we
thing
could
with the
easily
Ed
have done.
O'Brien fillies, you could just you look at it and go, oh, she runs blah blah blah. But we've just said that can't put you off. It's just, why not? I mean, she's bred to win it.
Yeah.
She's bred to win it, and she's going to be trained for it. You would presume, wouldn't you? So, and they have to train Thunder Moon now, like he's a Guineas or Derby horse now.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, it's going to be one of those, isn't it, throughout the winter?
We'll do the double, Dave. You want to get on with a price?
We're looking at next year's Champions Stakes winner, are we? Or is this Frankel? Look, it's a great story as well because Joseph O'Brien has, and again Shane Cross would have been. What if it's 2 Group 1 winners? It's the game.
Oh, poor guy. Yeah, that is awful. Isn't it?
Asymptomatic, feeling absolutely fine. Let's face it, we don't really know. Most of our, this testing shambles in this country. We still don't know whether any of us have actually had it or not.
Good weekend for the owner, yeah.
If you've not been actually confirmed. But what I'm saying is, poor Shane sitting there. He's thinking, there's nothing wrong with me, man.
Awful.
Do you know what I mean?
Awful, yeah.
So listen, bounce. He's a young guy. Tom Marquand again. Go back to these comments in the paper. Is there a better jockey talking at the minute than Tom Marquand? His comments were fantastic.
Talking?
Yeah, as in... with
Well,
the press.
I mean, Murphy's fantastic, isn't he? Murphy's
Murphy's
brilliant.
always been very good.
Murphy and
They've
Marquand
got the
are
same
excellent.
media team, I think, haven't they? Yeah, so they've got the same little team.
Lydia
behind
does some work with the jockeys now, doesn't she?
She does. That's right. Yeah, fair play. Word for Lydia. Maybe she's been schooling them. That's absolutely right. She does.
Tom Marquand just seems like a lovely guy, doesn't
That's
he?
a good chap,
He really
yeah.
does seem
Was
like
it Lee said in the
such a
paper?
nice
Thoroughly nice bloke.
Yeah, he just seems it. He really does. And
But also, as well, when he's interviewed, he's not robotic. He's quite conversational.
When he comes of
Absolutely,
age,
yeah.
when he comes of age, because responsible gambling, you've got to be 25 and over to do these things. And amazingly, Oisin Murphy just turned 25, so watch this space, Oisin Murphy, where you've got a target on your back to get you in on these shows and other shows that we do at the Post. But when Tom can come on, we're over that. We can't wait.
It would be brilliant for racing if this new generation of fantastic jockeys are also really, really media friendly as well, because the punters want to hear from the participants, don't they?
Almost been a revolutionary year on that front. Do you remember when Oisin Murphy came back after the first meeting back at Newmarket when they said the 2-year-olds, and he came out and basically said why? I think people were giving him grief. What I notice, if you follow Oisin Murphy on Twitter, which I think I do actually, he's always coming up on the feed. I'm not a big Twitter user unlike Bruce. Are you still on that, by the way? Have you taken your sabbatical? You've been drawn back in.
Okay, no, not really. I'm a fleeting visitor.
That's the kind of what I am. It's a great newsreel, isn't it? That's where news breaks, obviously. So if you're a journalist, you kind of got to have a handle. I've never tweeted anything in my life, but I do see that Oisin, if anyone calls him out, he likes their tweets. Which must,
that's a good tactic.
It's a good tactic, isn't it? And some of the things that have been said this week in particular. Royston French murdered a horse in running.
That one up at Newcastle.
It was a carcass on Arnold on Tuesday, but it was awful. It was just an absolute horror vision.
Didn't look great,
I spoke to the trainer Anne Dufford about that, and she was effing and jeffing about it and all that sort of thing. But he genuinely, you'd rather be called inept, wouldn't you? As I said on my feature show this week, and a fool than crooked. Some of the things that are coming out on social media are absolutely just wrong. But Oisin goes and likes all of them. And you just think,
You're
back
best
in your
off
box.
ignoring people, aren't you?
Yeah.
You just ignore them.
But he got in the car, didn't he? Got his phone. It's all you have to do.
Yeah.
And he just put it up on Twitter and it's gone viral.
Of course, the thing with the jockeys is they've all got long car journeys, and I think Murphy's probably at a level now where he can afford to have a driver. So he's sitting there and he's chilling out on his way back from races.
Yeah.
Goes on Twitter. I mean, being a newspaper editor on Twitter is not a good idea, but Christ, being a jockey on Twitter, no thank you. I wouldn't fancy that at all. I really, really wouldn't. It's too many horrible, vulgar, abusive people. and it's too easy for them.
Yeah.
Before, they're sitting on their sofa swearing at you, but apart from their budgie and their mum, no one can hear them. Now they can actually get straight into your ear.
Yeah.
But you just got to ignore them. There's too much hate on Twitter.
There is. Far
Twitter's
too much.
really good in a lot of ways, but there's way too much hate on there.
Yeah.
Like the world according to Twitter, you wouldn't want to live in it. But the real world is full of nice people. And it's funny because people say, oh, you get a lot of grief on Twitter. But in my real life, I go racing, everyone's friendly, people are nice, people are pleasant. No one ever comes up and does what they do to you on Twitter.
Yeah, right.
It's
Keyboard
mad.
warriors, isn't
Yeah,
it?
terrible.
Absolutely. Exactly. Yeah, so there you go. It's a nasty little place. And if you're on Twitter, make sure you're nice to these jockeys out there because they're out there trying to earn a living and they're generally always trying to do their best, contrary to what you might think out there. The only thing I think, Bruce, is I think the stewards could help a little bit on this front, but that's something for maybe another show. Yeah, for example, this Royston French ride, Enzo was on Sky that night. He texted me saying the email machine's gone mental. People are calling him all corrupt. They're just like it's a short throw. He must have laid it. He's in the bookie's pockets, all that sort of thing. But the problem is that the BHA never did anything about it. They never said talked to him at all. The media didn't do it. The guy that was on Sky, on track for Sky, never went and bothered. It's just come on, we can help everyone a little bit, can't we? Like I say, you'd much rather be called inept than crooked.
There's probably a whole thing just industry-wide that can help there because you have comments like he's in bookmakers' pockets or not, and it's just that. But it's that awareness of if a odds-on favourite wins at Newcastle on a Thursday night, it's not going to cost that much money. You know what I mean in the grand scale of things. So there's a whole educational awareness piece that can be done across the board with everyone who's involved with racing.
Do you agree with that? Let us know what your thoughts are. A little bit of politics we got there, didn't we? We got a few gripes off, but we know you like to listen to that. If you're watching on Facebook Live or indeed YouTube, like the stream. Let us know you're out there. Happy days. There's some great social comments in, and we're coming up to our last race. It is not a classic, but it is an Irish St Ledger. And I'm assuming, Neil Hubbard, that there are two horses fighting it out for favouritism.
Yeah, and they've sort of flip-flopping all day, really, and Sovereign is just nosed ahead in the market at the minute. 3.9 at the minute. Fujara Prince, 4.1. Twilight Payment, ever reliable Twilight Payment, 6.2. Last year's winner, Search for a Song, 8.2. Passion, 9.2. And the very interesting Micromanage at 10.
He has won this, of course, Willie Mullins. It's the Willie Mullins horse, Micromanage. Wicklow Brave, do you remember that? When he won the Irish St Ledger.
Wow.
Who did he beat? He beat an odd. There was something that went off. He went off. There was like a hot pot.
That Wicklow Brave CV is absolutely crazy, isn't it? He's won everything, hasn't he?
It was Order of St George.
Ah, that was it. Yeah.
He beat
who
Order of St
would have
George.
had the hat-trick in the race if he hadn't beaten
Sure, Wicklow, Order of St George, 1 to 7. Order of St George.
God.
Woo! Okay, well, no hot pots like that in
I'll
the
tell
race.
you what, we should get out, the snobbery in us should get over the fact that it's, this is an Irish St Ledger, used to be a classic, blah, 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 it's not a very good race. We know it's not a very good race, but from a betting heat, it's really interesting. There's 8 runners, so you can have your traditional each-way betting. Yeah. It's a very, very interesting race, isn't
Let's go to Neil on that front, because there's an interesting stat here with the 3-year-old angle. This Passion is the one that you like, Neil, right? Because there's been 10 3-year-old runners in the last decade, and only 3 have failed to hit the frame or either win. So 7 have either, they've gone really, really close. It's Aidan O'Brien, it's Jamie Heffernan on. Ryan Moore has chosen to ride last year's Derby winner, Irish Derby winner, Sovereign, who chased home Enable, of course, when last in the King George. Likely to try and get on with it. I think Sovereign will probably will. But is this your play?
It is. I mean, she doesn't do things very quickly, Passion. But she was 5th in the Epsom Oaks. She was 3rd in the Irish Oaks. She's a sister to Capri, who won this. He won the English St Ledger.
Is that why you liked it for our St Ledger? Because you saw the breeding and thought this is...
All the traditionalists are going to be going mad.
Yeah.
The Epsom Oaks, the English St Ledger. All these stuffy old people, they are the St Ledger, the Oaks. Everything else is an imitation.
Not the Derby, man.
So it's just this type of trip. She's bred to do it. She seems to be a sort of slow maturing type. As I say, she doesn't do stuff very quickly, but she gets all the allowances in here. So she gets about £12-13 here. They've taken the headgear off her before she won last time, and she goes without the headgear again. I just think, like we sort of touched on it, like Twilight Payment is fine. He sort of set, you know what I mean?
He's the one I like because I just think he's going to be bang there. I'm pretty certain he'll be bang there. And he's won over the coursing distance the last twice. Yeah. I love the way that Joseph O'Brien. I've done it again. Oh, Joey.
Joey O.B.
With Wayne Lorden on. I was going to call him Way, but that would have been awful. The Lord that is Wayne. I just think this is everything's right for him to go close here, I think. So
Yeah, that's
he's just
fair.
the one that I like. But again,
I think Sovereign should be favourite.
Do you? I don't. I think Figueroa's right.
let's get the bet on then, Neil. Let's get the play on because we know you like to react to that out there. So take us through your trading.
Yeah, so I'm going to bet Passion win and place in here. Probably a little bit more on the place side, to be honest. But Passion is 8.4 to win, which is 15-2 in fractional terms. So we'll add that to the bet slip and we'll have £20 win on there at 8.4. And then we'll head across to the place market. So we have a choice, 2, 3 or 4 places. Have a quick look in the 4 places. No, she's odds on in that. So we'll back it in the 3 places, 2.34, which is around 11-8. And we'll have £30 on her to be placed there. So hopefully, as long as she hits the 1, 2, 3, that's been partially matched. We'll just leave that there and wait for the rest of it. As long as she finishes in the first 3, we'll turn a small profit on that. And given the nature of the race, I don't think that is beyond her.
Well, and statistically, like I say, that is the 3-year-old angle in. Search for a Song was a 3-year-old when she won it last year. She's come back for Dermot Weld, who's won this also lots in the past as well. This way, I don't know, Bruce. Did you say earlier who you thought might win this? Can't remember.
No, but a few seconds ago. But I think Figueroa Prince will win.
Oh, you did say
I just
that, okay.
think on the up, 2
You didn't
really
say at
good.
the start of the show. You said it a few seconds.
Just really, really solid. You know, just the Ascot win was really good. To win an Ebor, I think, is probably harder than to win this. You know, I get the Sovereign line. If you look at the Irish Derby last year in isolation, it absolutely bolted up and that. And I suppose the run, you know, in the Eclipse wasn't too sad. Oh, sorry, in the King George wasn't too sad either.
Have you been with this horse then before, Figueroa Prince? Is this
Yeah,
like
I
a horse
have,
because he's a public horse, isn't he? He's usually backed.
Yeah, I mean,
Back to Royal Ascot, I think. Didn't it?
yes,
Yeah,
back
so
to
Royal
Royal
Ascot.
Ascot. I posed him in the Ledger, but in the Ebor, but you know, was always prepared to see him win. And I just thought that Ebor run was just full of authority. And you know, we've talked about the lack of quality in this race. RPR's a tiny amount to find, but probably still on the upgrade, even though only 6. You know, you can't be totally confident about this. This is a mixture of 3-year-old fillies form, of jumps form, of, you know, last year's Irish Derby form, last year's Irish Ledger form. It's all coming together, and we don't.
Kid-ish on the block.
The weird thing is that the previous 2 races, the 2-year-olds, there's a lot more kind of interlocking form, really. This is all quite a lot of disparate lines of form that are all coming together. So, you know, how it all pans out, I'm not quite sure. But I thought, when I first looked at the race, I thought Twilight Payment was very, very short indeed. That one's probably found its level now. Search for a Song, last year's winner, done absolutely nothing since. Didn't really excite me that much. Passion, for the reasons that you've said, Neil gets all the allowances, I'm quite interested in. But I just think with Figueroa Prince, if that was the, you know, if any of these won and I look back, that would be the one I go, well, it was obvious.
Yeah.
Magical, she chased home, of course, Search for a Song last time, and is it now the jump up in distance? What are you backing in the Irish St Ledger? What are you laying? Let us know. You've got time to get your social comments in still. This is the last race for us here on the week. Unbelievable. We were talking through the week when looking at this race with a couple of other pundits that were on the panel. It was a case of, has he always been a group horse in handicaps, you know? And this is probably not of the usual Group 1 level when you make that initial jump up. The ground should be fine for him. I was just looking at his profile when you were talking about his case there, Bruce. I think it was that Baghdad run at Royal Ascot last year. It's the only time he's not been involved in any sort of finish in his life, his racing life. You know, he's always there or thereabouts, if not winning. You know, so he's a really, really likeable horse. And on unofficial ratings, he has to be bang there. And Rog, as you like to call him, and like Joe.
I do like old Rog. Can we just quickly interject with a few lines coming out of the out of Paris? Apparently there was no pace whatsoever. Frankie said he probably should have made it on Stradivarius.
When did he finish in the end? Sorry.
It's a very good point. I'm just reading the report.
I haven't even seen.
No, he held him off. He beat him by. I'm not
So
quite
it's the
sure
Coronation Cup form has come to the fore there.
Exactly. Yeah, it was
Yeah, he
Frank.
did call that.
Barcelona said there wasn't any pace, so he decided to kick on Anthony van Dijk.
Wow.
It'll be interesting to see if either of those make any sort of entry onto the art market, because, you know, one is a Derby winner and one is one of the most legendary stayers we've ever had, who can still cut it, and we know that the one thing he's going to have going for him in the art is he's going to be strongly run. So
I wonder how many people have jumped off Anthony Van Dijk this year after that decent comeback run when he thought it was all about
it was a
Roy
good
Ascot.
comeback run, that wasn't it?
And who was it at the time that was right? That was writing when Gaya smashed the mile 4 record in the Coronation Cup on that quick ground at Newmarket. The second, third will probably went inside it as well. So,
but I don't want to go on and on and on, Dave. But that's the first time since the 2016 Irish Derby, which Harzan run, that a Derby winner has subsequently won a race. We had that with the Grand National, didn't we? So I think one
always.
for Arthur.
There's many clouds.
But, the Grand National, you can get that. I mean, that's it's a bit of a novelty contest.
I think Many Clouds was the first to win, wasn't he?
He possibly was, yeah.
And then
one for Arthur after that. But the Derby should be producing horses that go on to become dominant. That's what we grew up expecting, and that's what used to happen.
National winners used to try and become like Gold Cup horses and things, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Rather than the other way round, which is tends to what happens now when the Gold Cup winners get in the twilight of their career. Jump season coming up, isn't it? Happy days. We will be with you in November for that, I think. So lots to come up in October here on the Racing Post Live with the Betfair Exchange. But for right now, we've got the one race left. It is the Irish St Ledger, and Neil Hubbard looks like Sovereign. Going to go off clear favourite now.
Yeah, very solid now. Bit of support for him now. 3.65. Fujara Prince 4.7, and then Twilight Payment 6.2, and plenty of money actually for Passion into 7.6. Search for a Song, last year's winner, pretty solid. Yeah, what do we make of this Willie Mullins runner in here then?
Micromanage. Yeah, it was behind. It was a good comeback run, wasn't it? We spoke to Patrick Mullins. We had him in the studio in the middle of the jump season. People, some of the social comments that we sourced were, where's Micromanage running? Where's Micromanage running? They thought about the Triumph Hurdle for him. We're keeping him for the flat. They said we think there's some biggies in him. I think they would have hoped if everything had gone well, he might have ended up in the Melbourne Cup that time.
Yeah, because he won a Curragh handicap just last year by about 12 lengths or something like that.
He absolutely hosed up, yeah.
And then I think I don't know how much of this becomes sort of like horse racing sort of folklore or anything like that, but apparently it was a case of he should be running in the Irish Derby, such as his level of ability. But then, of course, he hasn't been really seen since, has he?
He's obviously not been that straightforward,
No.
but he got stuffed first time out in his career at the Curragh, and then went to Tipperary and made a huge jump up. So I expect him to make a start. He was behind Delphi, of course, and the horse that just got touched off by Delphi that day was Master of Reality. He can't beat Twilight Payment, Master of Reality. Lovely horse that he is, running the Gold Cup last year, strong travelling type. But the fact that he's not running here, Master of Reality for Joseph O'Brien, tells a tale, I think. And again, that's why I like Twilight Payment. The 7-year-old. It was a 7-year-old one. I said, what age was Wicklow Brave? He must have been 7. There you go, absolutely perfect. Don't hold that against him. He used to be with Jim Bolger, of course. He's a real toughie.
He's probably running the best races of his career now, though, really.
That's interesting. Let me just check out his Racing Post Racing and see what that bears out. You're absolutely right. You've just done a Keith Melrose on me.
No, I couldn't remember if it was him or not. But his last 2 runs have been, if not equal to, then certainly slightly better than what he's done ever.
Are we expecting Ryan Moore to crack on here, do you think, on Sovereign? Do you remember the
should
Irish
do,
Derby win?
Yeah, I would have thought so.
did it
I
in
actually think, although it's only 8 runners, I think it would be a very true pace. A short neck was all that separated Anthony Van Dijk and Stradivarius, by the way.
Wow.
And the other news to give you is that they are late off. They're with 5 minutes off
Is that
post
ambling?
time, and they are properly ambling here in your own time, lads.
Yeah, crawling.
If you ever fancy getting down to the start, I still go back to what my mate says. He said, right, the stalls are going to open at 4:40. If you're in them, you can compete, and if not, tough luck.
Oh wow, that's like a Sir Mark thing to say, isn't it?
I get it. I get it. I tell you what, punters don't like races going off late. They've got other things to do now.
Yeah.
They tune in at a particular time and they expect the race to be off.
The caveat for that, of course, is these are animals, aren't they? That these jockeys have got to get down there. You know, someone can tear. I don't know. It's the things can happen.
There's always
going to
be random, because of what you've just said. There's always going to be instances where things will be delayed because
that's
stuff
fine.
happens, and that's fine.
I'll tell you, the one I can't have is, and we talked about this before, is where they're all down at the start and then all of a sudden the camera pans back down the stage and there's some jockey holding onto the rein, running down with 5 furlongs left to go. 5 furlongs over half a mile. I mean, that takes some time.
Yeah. Well, they're fit boys, aren't they? That's absolutely. I mean, that's the other thing, isn't it? These older jockeys, Franny Norton I saw went to. What was the result in the Prosser Van Baarden?
I'll look at that
Baarden, whatever it's called.
Barney Rowe,
Did he win it?
Well,
Barney Roy beat Communicate.
Barney Roy did win it. Good old Barney
because
Roy.
of the quote that he got, for 12?
One of my biggest egg-on-face horses of all time. We've all had an egg-on-face horse, haven't we? I thought we were going to win last year's Queen Anne. I was, again, telling lots of people that this horse has come back. He's a different class. Ran deplorably. Good old Barney Roy. Happy days beating the Germans in there.
Did you say he's 12-1 for the Art?
No, 12 for the...
for the Champion Stakes.
Yeah.
Okay, so and Franny Norton went over to ride Communicate in that race, I think, as well, didn't he? So these older jockeys have been able to last because they're so fit now, aren't they? The fitness is just
it's because they run 5 furlongs every day. Pulling a horse.
Yeah, absolutely. They've not been able to use the saunas, of course, this year, the jockeys, have they? So what they do is, I remember seeing Johnny Murtaugh once. I think they covered this on the morning line on Channel 4 years ago. He puts his coat into his gloves, he gets his neck out, it's just no air, his socks tucked in.
That's right.
They get the hat on and it's just sweat, and he goes round and round.
I remember going over to Murtaugh's place a couple of years ago, and he's a lovely fella. He's so ebullient, and I was saying, how would you be riding now? He said, I've bulked up. He said, but it's all muscle now. He said, I'm 10 and a half stone. He said, if I was riding now, I wouldn't lose a race. I'm so strong. He said, the only trouble, obviously, I'd be too heavy.
Yeah.
But, he says he feels really good. And I tell you what, him and Orla are a lovely couple, and to win that Group 1, we saw Ger Lyons earlier this season win his classic. It's really nice that these trainers, don't forget, it's so hard for them operating in the shadows of Aidan.
Daughter Caroline.
I was about to say, his daughter Caroline works at Betfair.
Really?
Yeah, she does the podcast with Barry. And
yeah.
Is she in the trading team now?
She
was in the trading.
She arrived and did a placement or whatever in the
did
They
podcast
are
with
a
Caroline.
lovely family. They're so
lovely.
nice, honestly. And they've got
She's
the
been
nice,
into the studio, actually, funnily enough.
got the nicest dog as well. The beautiful golden retriever. Yeah, they've got a lovely dog. Yeah,
Funny what you remember
really
from
nice
these
setup.
Yeah, he was. I mean, just as they get ready to go in, I think when I was sort of really banging into racing when I was younger, he was the one that I looked up to. I think most of all, actually.
Really,
he was just Group 1 Johnny, wasn't it? It was absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely. Market is, it's like everyone's had their bets on now. This is the last
just waiting for it
knockings,
to
isn't it?
start
Just
now,
waiting
isn't
for them to amble down. Passion's very solid though, Neil.
Yeah, a bit of support
you in.
for it. Yeah, 7.6, around 13 to 2
So
mark.
a reminder of the tips for those that are just joining the show and they might want to get involved. Neil Hubbard.
Passion.
Bruce Millington.
Fujera Prince.
And Twilight Payment for me. So there you go. There's your trifecta.
Sovereign
It's
wins.
it's an interesting race for traditional each-way betting, isn't it? 8 runners, 5th to 3. And there's 2 horses down there in Barbados and Ra Atoll. You wouldn't say they can't win, but if you do discount them, you're getting a 5th to 3 in a 6-runner race, which is, is a nice proposition.
Ra Atoll, trained by Luke Comer, who pulled off a 300-1 winner.
Of course, yeah. Well, they sponsor, don't they? The Comer Group sponsor the... what's the race they sponsor this weekend?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Big sponsors yesterday, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's funny that, isn't it? Because they had a 300...
Is it this race?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
they
is,
sponsor
it is.
this. Yeah.
We're looking at it.
That? Yeah.
It's
It's funny,
the-
wasn't it? Because everyone's like, oh, this lot have won a 300 to 1 shot.
There's a
They're
plot.
most off, by the
There's a
way.
plot.
What's going to happen?
Okay, Bruce,
They are
they're
off and running a 1.6 miles. It's a very, very level break. Fujera Prince and Andrea Atzani go on and try and make it. Sovereign is handy in 2nd, and Twilight Payment is also marking the early pace. Passion is sitting nicely in 4th. Micromanage is in 5th. And then we've got Barbados. And then we've got last year's winner, Search for a Song. Ashinor is sat very deep in the field on that one. And bringing up the rag is Ra Atoll. So what are the early market moves, Neil?
Yeah, Sovereign 3.2. So shortened a little bit now into 2 to 1 favourite. Fujara Prince next. Twilight Payment a little bit for him. But yeah, Sovereign clear favourite now, and he's on the front end now, isn't he? He's got the lead.
You've got to be happy with Fujiera Prince, Bruce. He's got a lovely little sit there. They've obviously got the plan, Andrea Atzini.
Well, what I like
Ryan
about that
goes on following.
What I like about that, Dave, is that he jumped out nice and alertly, but he's just said, OK, that's fine. I expect Ryan to go on. I'm just going to track him. And he's in the perfect position to do that. And yet the market seems to think that because he led and he's now 2nd, that's a negative. So he's out to 6, which I don't get at all. I'm just going to have a quick cheeky bet.
This is almost like a carbon copy of what he tried to do at Royal Ascot, isn't it, Neil Hubbard? He attacked a long way out that day. Is this potentially meaning that if you're just off the pace, you're happy because you're expecting these two to go hammer and tongs?
Yeah, but they don't appear to be to the eye, do they? They look to be going just a normal pace.
But if Fujiera makes that that move, Ryan's got to respond,
Yeah.
right? And they'll get softened up.
Yeah, it's just interesting that, I'd say you'd want to be a bit closer to it than further off it, though, if you had to choose right now. I think Passion's in a nice spot, to be honest.
Twilight Payment isn't in a great spot. He's been caught wide there.
It's not the end of the world, is it?
Well, I just think,
You won't get any traffic problems there. And Search for a Song is coming up the inside. That one's the one that is going to need to find some daylight. So Sovereign makes it as they go down it's a really wide arcing turn at the Curragh, isn't it? So they're not turning in just yet.
Barbados is trying to creep a little closer, so I expect them to start ramping it up at some point. Micromanager's had a lovely sit through this race. My worry about Twilight Payment, I'm not surprised at all that Wayne Lawden is trying to get on the inside a little bit now. He's basically covering 2 lengths more than everything else.
They like Passion on the market there, Neil.
Yeah, into 11-2, 4-1 now, actually, Passion. But Sovereign's still solid at the top of the market. But Passion, yeah, absolutely. Well, she's got a lovely position there.
We're Search for a Song, just hunting
in
him up.
6th, yeah. I think we can forget
like
the
her
2
there as well,
outsiders
though.
in the market.
Now they're going for it.
Now they're going for it, and Fujera Prince takes it up as Sovereign gives way and goes out to
Bye-bye.
40-1. See you later, that can't win.
You don't want to get into a match with Twilight.
And Twilight Payment are the
Here comes
two.
last year's winner. We've run about 2 furlongs out. I'll tell you what, Search for a Song. Barbados isn't out of this either. Will Fujiara last it out? That is the question. Search for a Song.
Fujara from
this
Search
is
for a Song.
Twilight Payment.
It's the
finding
battle
it.
between the two. Twilight Payment's trying to
last
plug
year's-
on.
He's gonna win
Fujera
this.
Prince, no, he's not. Search for a Song's beating him. Search for a Song picks it up. Search for a Song from Fujera Prince and Twilight Payment. Search for a Song wins for Sheen Orr by 2 lengths. Just about second is Fujera Prince, and Twilight Payment is third.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Bruce Millington, for the call of the final race of the week here, the Irish St Ledger. Did you keep the faith? Was it all about they've been saving this distance? They probably have. He's an absolute master. It's a big double on the day then. He took out the Vermeil in France with Tanawa, and Search for a Song has gone and taken out the Irish St Ledger, I should say. The reason why I was going to say English St Ledger, will she now go for the Champions long distance, do you think, Neil, or something like that on
maybe.
Champions Day?
Yeah, I mean, all of her races we were saying leading up to this have been about this day, and fortunately they did put all their eggs in one basket, and it turns out that was the right thing to do, I suppose. But yeah, depending on how she comes out of this, you would think that 2 miles wouldn't be a problem for her because she stayed on. Looked quite
She's
hard
in it.
work there.
How
at
short
the
was
end.
the Prince?
Yeah, 1.53. So 2-1 on there.
Sovereign's just gone, hasn't he? I mean, that was just...
And
As
then,
soon as he turned in the straight, that was it. He was
Nothing
done,
there.
wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah,
The
Passion's
winner-
not got home.
the winner was 11, so 10-1 in running. Yeah, Passion was disappointed with because there's no excuse there from her position. She's in the perfect spot, but it looked a little bit hard work there at the end. But,
It did. And I do think that when Twilight Payment, Wayne Lawden wasn't happy with being caught outside, that's when the front 3 had to start going for a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough.
The winner there has been Oisin Orr.
Yeah, the winner's come from...
Big win for Oisin Orr as well, isn't it? Young
It's interesting
jockey.
as well. It shows her versatility as well because in last year's race, jockey deemed them not to be going too strong a pace, so she was forced up at halfway and took up the run-in and then made the run-in, whereas here she's been held up and come with a run. So it doesn't seem to make much difference to her how the race is run.
It was a nice ride, that, wasn't it? Really
Yeah.
nice.
Just
Conserved
nice and
energy
cool.
on the inside. Let the others do their thing, and then he flicked the switch, and she's done it really nicely, hasn't she?
He can still do it. The master of Rosewell House, Dermot Weld, taking out 2 Group 1 doubles. I'll tell you what, there's been some celebrations there tonight. Yeah, back-to-back winners in this race are fairly common. Or not even Order St George managed it, though, of course. And look, she now goes to Ascot. A little bit of cut there won't be a problem. Are there any quotes for that?
No, I was just waiting. There's nothing coming through here at the minute. I didn't know if they wouldn't run her in the arc, would they?
She's beating the right horse. I would not... Ooh.
I don't know. I'm just throwing...
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I wouldn't have thought so. I mean,
What is she,
it's a
about
nice
40s or
run, but
something?
I think that they'll probably just think about the hat trick for next year, and then she'll go and have some
She's
foals.
beating the E-Ball winner ultimately, hasn't she? But Twilight Payment, he's your benchmark. He's won another honest race. Backed him each way, was happy with his run, really. It just was caught on the wing.
Fujera's run all right, hasn't he?
Yeah,
He's run all
Micromanager
right.
will be going hurdling now, won't he? I would imagine
Yeah,
after
I
that.
think. I mean, the only thing with Micromanage is he's obviously been quite hard to keep fit, hasn't he? So you'd have to see how he comes out of the race. Yeah, but I thought Passion was in really good shape there. What did she touch shortest?
Passion, I didn't get that, but
That's
it
right,
wasn't that. It
enough.
wasn't that noticeable.
You're right. It was a bit of a slow motion finish, and the reason why I thought that Fujio was going to do it, she just ran up and down on the spot a little bit when she was asked to go on. But once meeting that rising finish, stamina's kicked in. She's done
Fujiera's
it.
had a good year there, hasn't he? Won at Royal Ascot.
Oh,
won an E-Ball,
fantastic! Second in a Group 1, nothing wrong
Yeah,
with
but
that
I mean,
at all.
I think today's probably found his limit. We've realised that you know, this is what he
He's
is.
going to be
Is he
stuff
entered
now.
in the Melbourne Cup? I can't remember. There
I
was
would think
talk
so.
of
He
it.
was favourite, wasn't he?
He's
Last
going to be
time I
stuff
looked.
now
Okay.
to a degree because his handicap mark's going to be too high to know what to do with.
It's just whether there's a horse they've had to mind, whether they want to travel
Yeah.
with him is the thing. Okay, that brings the show down then, basically. RP Live this Sunday, that's Super Sunday, seismic Sunday on the front page of your Racing Post. Thanks for being with us this week. There's been winners aplenty coming out of it. Highlights of the week, Tom Marquand, Galileo Chrome.
Yeah, for me all day. Yeah, it was
Thunder
absolutely
Moon.
brilliant. It was Thunder Moon's a great one for the future, but you know it's all about the classic generation. And what a weekend for Joseph O'Brien.
Oh.
I mean, he's taken out the ledger and he's got the favourite for next year's Guineas. Thank you very much indeed.
Is there anything he can't do? He'll be aiming for the Grand National next. Watch out. Aintree next year. So listen, we'll be back for Future Champions Day. Neil Hubbard, thanks for coming down. You'll be back with us then, no doubt.
Yeah, hopefully so. Pleasure being here. Good couple of days racing. Very
Happy days.
enjoyable.
Bruce, great to have you back on. Looking forward
I've
to
loved
doing this
it.
again. Such an
Absolutely
enjoyable
loved it.
afternoon, this,
It
isn't it?
certainly is. Really, really good stuff. Great racing today, and yeah, enjoyed it immensely. Can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, let's do it. So you can join us on the first weekend of October. We will be back. Thanks to the guys in the gallery, Dan Walls, Rob Lee and Elliot Hackney, and Will calling the shots for you out there. Keep the socials coming in. We will read them after we go off air, which is happening now.